We should be live now. I hope we're live now. I'm going to check just to be sure before I talk and realize that I'm not saying anything to anyone. Okay, it says it's receiving our content. We are live. So then, what is up, everyone? This is AndresRestart. We have a discussion about mostly Nintendo stuff every week, but there's some other gaming stuff we talk about as well, especially this week. We have a lot to talk about. And we're joined by Colloco this time. He's guesting. He used to be a part of the podcast like 6, 8, almost a year ago. I don't know, a while ago. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. So, we'll talk about, each other's channels in a little bit, but make sure to check the link in the description below for his channel, as well as the links to both Will and Brandon. Will from Lowell the Deity and Brandon from What About Nintendo. They're both joining him again. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. Got this nice setup behind me. Been working all day to get it ready, and
Sexy.
Yeah, I got it done before the podcast, so I'm doing great. Ready for an awesome discussion.
Cool. So, yeah, sorry I'm acting a little awkward. I just trying to make sure everything's all together. Oh, the chat is lit. Oh my god. I didn't expect there to be, because I saw on my browser it says 0 people watching. But the video wasn't playing, so I just exited the browser, checked the chat. There's like a whole bunch of people. What's up, Marty? What's up, Ben? What's up, Snowman? What's up, Pop Slayer? What's up, Lewis? What's up, Game-tastic? I almost said Game Static. That's like you almost got me there. Yeah. So how's everyone doing? What's up, Chris? What's up, Gohan? Yeah, a whole bunch of people are here. This is awesome. It looks like you guys are pretty hyped. Let me see. Yeah, so everyone seems to be pretty excited. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about this week. A lot. So, I realize I'm actually not as prepared. Okay, the chat's visible now. But let me kind of go over the outline for everyone. So, the outline is we're going to talk about a potential new Donkey Kong game. We're then going to talk about some Xenoblade Plus game that's going to be coming out, more free content coming out in February to make us play more Xenoblade. Then we're going to talk about Dragonball FighterZ and the Monster Hunter World and whether it should be coming to Switch. And then we're going to talk about this new rumor that's come out that apparently Google is going to be entering the video game business and directly competing with Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. That's going to be insane if true, and I think it might be actually. Then we're also going to talk about Microsoft buying EA potentially, or Valve, or the PUBG developer, or maybe all three, which is also kind of crazy to think about. And then we're going to end things off with a Breath of the Wild retrospective. That game is amazing. It was the game of the year. But we're getting close to almost a year since it's come out, and I think the perspective we have now might be a little different, and it's always great to talk about great games. So we're going to talk about it. So, before we kind of jump into things, guys, is there anything you guys want to talk about that's happened throughout the week, or just kind of I don't know, anything, just anything that's on the tip of your tongues that just feel free to...
Oh, man, that recent Dragon Ball Super episode was crazy. That's all I'm going to say, man.
Oh, yeah. Who else watches Dragon Ball Super? We mentioned this, we've been mentioning last 2 or 3 weeks, but Dragon Ball Super is heating up, bro. I was a little disappointed from the week before, but it made sense. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but this week with Topo's, with whatever Topo did, yeah, pretty crazy. And Topo's got to be in the next FighterZ as a DLC character, along with Jiren, Kefla, right? Maybe Kaba. There's so many characters that they could bring in that are really, really awesome and really popular right now. It's kind of crazy. So
just stop bringing in Raccoon to all the games. I mean, who keeps playing Raccoon? Why do they keep bringing Raccoon into these games?
So,
nobody wants to play.
In FighterZ, Raccoon did make it into the game, and they have a very select lineup. Of course, this time what they did is that there's one character to represent the entire Ginyu force, and it's Captain Ginyu. But as he fights Raccoon and I forget, Birder and Jason, the green one. I forgot the green one's name. But all 5 of the other 4 kind of are put into his moves, they're like assists, as you fight with him.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's kind of cool, and Raccoon is not taking up his own slot this time, so that's kind of good news, actually.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to get into fighters, but I think we should. I want to have a bit of a kind of a consistency with this outline because we have a lot to talk about. So I want to have a decent pattern here. But before we jump into, I'm going to kind of check out the chat, see if anything. Oh, what's up, Jakar? See if anything. That's making. It's not a complete sentence. What's wrong with me? See if there's anything interesting to bring up for conversation before we get into things. That's what I wanted to say, and I cut myself off. It's just, yeah, I'm sorry. Pop Slayer says, I hope Google doesn't enter because it's just more money I have to somehow make by selling games. Lol. Yeah, that's a thing. Like, there's just, I'm struggling buying Nintendo and Sony games right now, and there's just too much. And if Google makes something amazing, I don't know how I'm gonna handle that. To be honest, that's gonna be, I don't know.
My wallet will cry.
As far as problems go, it would be a good one to have.
Yeah,
true. I mean, it's a good one that I already have that problem. I don't need more.
Too much quality.
Too much content. Like in the Wii era when we were like, "Where's the content?"
Pixelated Katie wants someone to give him money to buy a Switch. Yeah. Save up your allowance, buddy. Also, Ben is saying, why is Bulma not a fighter? Yeah, Bulma, I mean, we all know why she's not a fighter. I'm sorry, I know you're joking. But there are some pretty good female fighters in fighters. I'm sorry, I'm so awkward today.
Wow.
But
wow, you cannot even English today.
No, but the game is called Fighters, and the characters are fighters, so it was just kind of like this awkward situation. But yeah, actually, there's only 2 female characters right now, but that's a lot for Dragon Ball. In proportion how many fighters are actually in the game. So yeah, and of course, if they bring the DLC, Kefla is an option, right? Or Kefla being the fusion, but they could bring in Caulifla, they can bring in female Broly. I forgot her name. Not Caulifla. What's the other one? Kale, right?
It's Kale. That's cute.
Kale, yeah. They all. Hey, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like for Dragon Ball, like all the Saiyans, their names represent a vegetable. Like obviously cauliflower, kale, Vegeta is literally vegetable.
Vegetable.
So
planet
Kakarot, right? Like
King vegetable.
Yeah, carrot. I think. Yeah. And Nappa, I think it's in like a Japanese, based off a Japanese word for a vegetable that I don't remember the name of, but Kaba being cabbage, which So I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but it's
I love the
Toriyama
has.
Yeah, we're gonna get into fighters.
I love the consistency.
Yeah, I love his vision, even though it's kind of like weird. It's not like your typical like super hardcore makes sense and very deep. It's more like really like cool fights and some really funny, weird, wacky moments. But we'll get back to Dragon Ball and fighters in a little bit. Let's kind of get the discussion started, right? Because I've been really awkward, and I feel like we should have some direction so I can stop being awkward. So, first in the list of the outline that we should be speaking, I can't stop. Anyways, new Donkey Kong. So apparently there are some rumors now speculating. Literally, this just came up like an hour or so before I was preparing. Like literally, like not like around 6 p.m. There was nothing. And as I was preparing for this podcast and writing out the outline, I was like, oh, maybe I should put this in. So basically, here's the deal. There are rumors that David Wise is working with Nintendo. Apparently, he's working with somebody in Texas. You want to know what's in Texas, guys? Retro Studios, who is very popular for making 2 franchises. Well, working on 2 franchises, Metroid and Donkey Kong. And David Wise is known for doing a lot of great work with the Donkey Kong games. So, if you connect the dots, David Wise working with supposedly Nintendo in Texas, who the only Nintendo thing that's there is Retro Studios.
And me. Don't forget
and Brandon. And Brandon.
I'm super important to the Nintendo.
Right. David Wise is actually working with Brandon. That's what's happening here.
Yes, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I have him here.
Yeah.
My own music.
Yeah. The leakers forgot to say what about Nintendo, and they thought it was just Nintendo. But yeah, so basically
easy mistake to make.
Yeah. But basically, guys, people are the rumor is that David Wise is working with Retro Studios, which suggests a Donkey Kong game probably. That doesn't necessarily mean a Donkey Kong Country game. I really hope it's not another Donkey Kong Country game. But it might be, because we are getting a port for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which will kind of, you know, raise awareness for that franchise, and for the Country franchise, which could mean that they are working on another Country game, which would be ridiculous, because when did Tropical Freeze even come out, guys? Like, it wasn't 2012, it was 2013? 14.
It was 2013. I can look this up.
2013 or 14. I think it was 2013. We are in 2018. If all they did was use essentially the same engine from
2014.
Okay, doesn't change anything. If all they did was literally create a game that's based off Tropical Freeze, and just like, you know, a sequel to that, there's no way that took them 4.5 to 5 years, however, you know, because this game's not even announced yet, right? But it must be in the middle of development. Like, that I don't see how that makes any sense. I don't think it does at all. I think it's possible that they could be making a 3D Donkey Kong. I would like to see that, but maybe it is a 2D Donkey Kong, and Retro just sucks at, you know, their productivity. Maybe all they do is eat barbecue all day. What do you think, Andy?
Who knows?
Well, you know, David Wise also composed 1989's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I'm pretty sure that this is a next game in the series. Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2? I don't know. No,
oh my god.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, a 3D Donkey Kong. I played the 64 one a bit. I mean, I don't think anybody wants another 2D Donkey Kong, man. I may be wrong about that, but even if they do make one and they make it good, how much is it really going to sell? Especially after porting Tropical Freeze, you know? I just don't think it would be the right move, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if this was the Wii U era, I would believe it in a heartbeat. Yo, there's a lot of noise. I don't know what happened. Look, okay, we're good. But yeah, it is kind of weird. I feel like if this is true, which I think is a pretty good chance that it's true, because if we're talking about a person working in Texas, there is a lot of noise, guys. I don't know what's going on. If you guys could try to like limit that.
Don't think it's on my end.
No,
This is not on mine.
okay. I don't know.
There's nobody here. I'm all alone.
Maybe if
I don't know. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Retro Studios. Maybe it's the Nintendo Ninjas. It's
if that didn't make it go away, then it's not me, because I just muted my mic for like 10 seconds.
Okay, I don't know what was going on, but I think I'm just gonna be hopeful here and assume that it's a 3D Donkey Kong. That would make sense. That's the kind of game that could take them about 3 to 4 years, and you know, I could see that. That'd be really cool, especially after they did something really great with Mario Odyssey. It looks like Nintendo is coming back to the traditional 3D platformer. That'd be really special to see, you know, after what they accomplished with Odyssey and sort of translating over some of the knowledge and making a 3D Donkey Kong game. I would love that, and it could be their chance to right the wrong of Donkey Kong 64. Not that it was wrong to me, but I know a lot of critics don't hold 64 in the highest of regard, but to me, it's amazing. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I said this last podcast, last week, but I would definitely be down for a 3D Donkey Kong game, because I love Donkey Kong 64, and so I think they could make another one. I mean, there's only been one. There's gotta be another. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah.
What if
There's so much you could do with this franchise that they haven't done.
What if it's a remaster of the 64?
64?
Oh man, that would be cool.
That would be,
That could
cool,
be cool.
but it also
Like
would
an
piss
Unreal
me
Engine 4
off.
or something?
But it would also piss me off that Retro Studios has spent 4 to 5 years making a remaster.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
could be making more than one game.
Yeah, we did establish
that's
that
true.
they were for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
So-
it's not it's not confirmed who's working on Metroid Prime yet, right?
Well, we know it's an internal team.
Yeah, it's not. So it's not them.
But I guess technically Retro Studios counts as an internal team. But I feel like when people
Do they?
when they set they're owned entirely by Nintendo. So
Why wouldn't they just say Retro Studios?
I'm not.
I mean, they've
okay,
worked
look,
on all the other ones. Why would they say?
I am
something
not
different?
saying Retro Studios is working on Metroid, but I am saying technically they are an internal team. Although I have to check where exactly it said internal and check like the actual like word for word what they actually said, right? Because depending on how that's said, you can interpret that slightly differently, right? But I mean, I think everyone assumed that when they said internal team, they assumed like an EAD team, you know, like in Japan. But technically, Retro Studios is an internal team, right? So, I don't know. I feel like what would make sense, though, is that there is a main team that's not Retro Studios that's working on Metroid, but it would also make sense that Retro Studios would, you know, have people coming in and out, working with the developer because they have so much time with the Metroid series, you know, maybe importing, not assets, but maybe like, you know, tech demos of like different, like, things that they tested out for Metroid, right? Maybe going over some of the musical score, some of the art styles, because they really want to match the theme of Metroid Prime. And of course, who better than to use the developer who made all 3 Metroid Prime games? Like, they should take something away from them. So I could see them working with another Nintendo team on top of making another Donkey Kong game. But of course, just to be clear, I'm suggesting that maybe Retro Studios is helping out, but they're not the main team behind it, right? And that maybe they have been developing a 3D Donkey Kong game. What do you guys think of that?
Interesting. I feel like to pull that team away from Metroid Prime 4 and not give them credit for like the main developer of that, I mean, the other thing that they would have to be working on would have to be pretty big, because I mean they're so used to making Metroid Prime, they're so good at that. So to change teams, or at least if what you're saying might be true, maybe half changing teams would be weird if they're not working on something else important, like some big project where they can't work on Metroid Prime 4. So I feel like whatever they're making is going to be a big game. So I mean, I'd love it to be Donkey Kong 64 too, but who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. We don't know. They're rumors. That's the point, right? But I would love to see a 3D Donkey Kong. But, you know, let's kind of, if anyone has any questions about what they may think, or, you know, something they want to say about 3D Donkey Kong, put it in the comments below, and we'll try to get to it at some point. But I'm going to, you know, kind of move ahead with the outline here, because what else is there to say? Maybe David Wise is working with Retro Studios on a Donkey Kong game, and maybe Retro Studios still has helped out with the other Metroid game. I don't know. I think there's a pretty good chance that they're making a Donkey Kong game. I just hope it's not a 2D one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let me check some of the chat before we move forward. So yeah, Ben, I have not heard about this rumor for Yoshi with Labo. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
I think they said it's a theory.
It's a theory, not necessarily a rumor. Okay, because the thing is, with a rumor, normally it comes from some sort of source that, whether it's reliable or not, is indicative that there's some, you know, a source usually from development or something. So, I don't know. I will say this. I think Labo and Yoshi make sense together. I don't know.
That would be cool.
I don't know what they would do. I was kind of expecting just like a very traditional, normal, like Yoshi side scroller. I didn't think I wasn't expecting them to kind of go crazy with it and you know, bring in all this like Labo sort of implementation. Do you guys have any ideas on that? How that would work out if this is a thing?
I mean, I don't think. Oh, go
Andy,
ahead.
you go first, and then we'll follow.
Well, I don't think that Labo works, or I don't think that they're planning to work it with the main titles. You know, I think it's all going to be smaller games from now, and maybe make it an option later on. But I don't think they're going to say like you can't play this game, or you can't play it to the fullest experience without the Labo. Just not yet, anyway. You know, like it's very much an experiment right now, because Nintendo really doesn't know how people are going to react to it, because it's such an insane and crazy idea. So I don't think it's you know, I think it's all mini games right now. It might be an option, like, hey, you know, you want to control this little bird in Yoshi, you know, Paper Yoshi, you can use that little cardboard bird. I don't know, stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be like you have to buy this to have the full experience.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you. I think Nintendo it's not the Wii era, like they. And even then, you know, like when they had a core franchise, you could still enjoy it in a core kind of way, and not really take away from it with like some sort of kiddie, peripheral, right? That is what this is. It's a kiddie peripheral. It's a cool one, but it's an add-on that's aimed at kids, So I definitely think that whatever, if there is something, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be where the gameplay is entirely centered around it. I agree with you, Andy. Will, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was pretty much gonna say what he said because I know there was a slight, just a tiny bit of backlash with the whole Super Mario Odyssey. A lot of people felt like it was restrained by its somewhat mandatory motion controls and stuff like that. So I do think Nintendo is trying to
avoid
focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I felt like that even though Nintendo still created good games during the Wii era, sometimes, having Waggle in a game was just a pain in the butt, In fact, even during the Wii era, sometimes it kind of annoyed me. I playing Pikmin 3. I didn't finish Pikmin 3. You want to know why? Because after a while, my gamepad just became annoying. Not even full of battery kind of died, so it always has to be tethered to the wall, which is my own fault for not replacing the battery. But still,
what is that battery made out of? Potato? What? That battery never lasted. It's garbage.
Yeah,
the Wii
it dies. Exactly. My battery's dead, and if when they originally launched the Wii U, it should have lasted way longer than that. It should have lasted 10 years. It's weird. When did Nintendo start introducing rechargeable batteries? The SP, I think, was the first rechargeable battery for a system, right? I think so.
Oh, yeah, because it didn't have batteries, yeah.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance needed AA batteries, but I think the SP was the first rechargeable battery.
I did not know that.
And I feel like if I saw a Game Boy Advance SP, I could plug it into a charger, leave it. It might not work at first. You might have to leave it to charge for a little bit, but it'll work. And even if that's not the case, I know for a fact that you could do it with a Nintendo DS, which came out in 2004. I literally have 2 brick Nintendo DSs in a crate down there, and if I try to turn them on now, they probably won't turn on. But if I plug them into the wall, leave them there in the charger for an hour, they will work. The battery just needs to be juiced up, but they will work. So the fact that the Switch gamepad is completely incompetent after 2 to 3 years, yeah, that's very telling. That it's just, I don't know why. It's just so bad compared to other Nintendo batteries.
The battery didn't last more than 2-3 hours at most. It was ridiculous. I mean, the Switch lasts far more than that, and it's the entire system. It made no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
way
weird.
More powerful than Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more sleep, too. That's really bad.
Too true.
Yeah, so Pixelated Kitty, I'm sorry, there's a lot in the chat, but I did want to reference your comment you made earlier about them maybe putting a different spin on Donkey Kong. I mean, I don't know what they could be doing. As long as it's not another Donkey Kong Country, I'm okay with that. Well, I hope it's a 3D Donkey Kong. It's kind of crazy, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we kind of talked about last week, the potential of a 3D Donkey Kong where you could jump on the vines and stuff. That's how you platform most of the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The way you said it, once you said it back to me and I heard it, it doesn't sound that fun. But maybe it will be. You never know. It could be awesome.
Yeah, I like the idea of ripping through little tiki guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be cool. But I mean, we could talk about Donkey Kong later. Let's get into the next topic. So apparently, a Xenoblade Plus game, there's going to be some free DLC coming in February where it's going to give you a reason to play the game again. I don't know what that is. It's a new challenge that it's free, apparently. We don't really know much about it, but Brandon, I know that I feel like you're the Xenoblade guy among us in terms of info. What do you know about this?
Oh, there's not much to know. Apparently, in mid-February, they're getting a new Game Plus for Xenoblade. That'll be free, and that's all we know. So...
Well, it is going to be free, so I mean, I feel like you can't really complain.
Yeah, you can't complain. I mean, I've been meaning to play this game again anyways without a new game plus, so just wait for the new game plus. Play it in Japanese, because I played through English for the first time and have a good time. So, I mean, this can't be anything but a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I definitely think it'll be a good thing. But what do you guys think it could be, though? Like, what would make you want to play through the game again in its entirety from beginning to end? Because it's a long game, man. I mean, I haven't checked recently, but I know I have somewhere between 120 to 150 hours in that game. So, I mean, the main campaign, if I were to go through it again, it might take me only 60 hours, maybe 50, if I'm really quick. But that's still a long time, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, what would make you guys want to play through that again?
To be honest...
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, mine's short anyways. So, to be honest, like, they don't have to do anything. Like, I was literally just going to play this game anyways. So, whatever they add, I'm good with, because I was already planning to redo it. So, it doesn't take much to make me happy. Seems already amazing enough, but I'm glad that they're adding something, whatever the heck that is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, the game is so good that you want to experience everything again, you know? But I don't know. Like, the new Game Plus is kind of old school, man. It's like what they used to do for, like, the RPGs, like, in the PlayStation and PS2, you know, where, like, you could play through, like, you could start a new game and you have all your items. You have the same level. Just everything is high. Every enemy is higher, starts at a higher level.
Oh, actually, you know? that alone, I didn't even think about it like that. That alone kind of makes me want to play through the game because, like, I'm trying to think about my level right now. I haven't played, like, 2 or 3 weeks, but, like, I feel like I was in the 70s in terms of level. Like, but there are, like, some level 100. Like, yeah, but there are, like, some level 120 monsters. So, like, you know, just giving me campaign to run through again would be really cool. But, I mean, there could be more than that. I feel like it might be a little slightly more than that, but maybe not. Maybe that is the extent of this free DLC. I mean, it is free, so...
I mean, if it's anything like the Breath of the Wild hard mode, I mean, that's worth playing again, you know?
Yeah, but we did technically pay for that.
Yes, very true.
We did pay for that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but the thing is that hard mode did come with the Master Sword Challenge. So if you look at that hard mode, strip away the Master Sword Challenge, and just think of it as the hard mode itself. That's interesting. I could maybe I mean, they could mix it up in some way, like maybe just obviously raising the level for different monsters, but maybe even including a few other monsters that are at a greater level. Yeah, I could see that. Like, yeah, what if you go first?
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I would love the fact that I'm assuming in this New Game Plus, you probably won't have to go through all the tutorials again. Maybe you have all of your abilities from the get-go. That'd be nice because, I mean, for the first time, getting your abilities slowly was fine because you needed to learn how they all worked. But now that I know how they work, I don't want to go back to, to square one with, like, nothing that I can do, like, for, like, 3 different chapters. I think, yeah, you don't get all your abilities to, like, chapter 3 or 4. So I'd like if they let you have all your abilities at the beginning. Now that I know how everything works and I'm, good at everything. And
so you can like set out 8 elemental orbs and do a full burst on like a crab that's on top of Rex's grandpa. Yeah, that'd be kind of epic.
Yeah.
I still feel like even if they were to scale the level, there's no way that crab would survive by the point you have 8 orbs. But yeah, maybe we could actually start doing chain attacks earlier. That'd be great to have all your abilities available from the get-go. I wonder how they will do the whole party thing, though, right? Because that's the thing. The party members, the way I could see it is that like once you get the party member through the context of the story, they're in your party. But if you're not there with the story, that party member is not with you. But once you get them, the level you had them at is where you'll get them.
That makes sense.
There might still need to be some so maybe they'll still do some like auto leveling, like wherever your characters, like for example, I don't want to spoil anything because apparently there's still people who haven't played through the entire game yet. I played through the entire game like 3 or 4 days, like I was crazy. But there are some characters that might go in and out of the party, and so let's say they might be gone for like a chapter or so, right? Like about 10 hours of gameplay and fighting a bunch of monsters. All the other characters might have gone to an end like 2 or 3 times, and they'll have gone up a few levels. But if that character was left out, by the time you come back to an inn again with that character in your party, for whatever reason, the game like still levels up that character like 9 levels, even though they weren't with you for a good little while.
Gives them a bunch of bonus XP and stuff, so they're not under level.
Yeah, so what they could do is just give them kind of like a lot of bonus XP when you do get to them, because obviously you're going to be leveling up, but if the point is to have everyone kind of at a similar level throughout the game, that's one way they could sort of address that. I like that, actually. I think this...
That would be nice.
I think this is a good idea, guys. I think that alone gives me more reason to play, especially if they add like a level 150 like Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, like that'd be pretty epic. I do hope they fix the final boss. I don't think they will, but yeah.
What's wrong with the final boss?
It's...
I mean, I played it. I beat it.
It felt kind of cheap. I didn't really have that many problems with him. I actually don't know what you're referring to. I guess he was a little bit cheap with some of his moves.
I just felt like it was awkward to fight him.
Oh, because the way he was... I don't want to say too much because of the platform.
Yeah.
Because of the way. Oh, yeah. Because it was like unrealistic. Like, why am I hitting him? Like,
and the other thing is that if it went too far away, you wouldn't be able to hit him.
You kind of had to make sure you were in the right position.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that the boss sucked or anything. I just like I feel like they could have made it a little better. So it's one of those things where like simply being able to hit it the entire time, right, would be like a small little patch.
I actually figured out a way to hit it the entire time. Trying not to spoil anything, but if you go to the right.
Oh.
Yeah, with arts. If you go to the right.
Without arts.
You
like
can
an auto, like with auto attack.
With auto attacks and arts, you can hit it if you go to the right all the way up. So.
Okay. Cool.
That's what I did.
All right, so I feel like this is a good idea. I think this is gonna happen. I think we literally kind of figured it out. Like it's one of those things where like. Obviously, we don't know what's actually happening, but when you kind of like reason through it and think about certain design philosophies and trends, a lot of times we can get really close to what may actually happen.
You say this now, and then it comes down and it's nothing like we're saying.
Yeah, the entire game is like filled with pink blobs, and you walk backwards the entire time. That's the new game plus.
Gosh.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. But I think we're pretty close. But we'll see. We'll revisit it and see how off we actually were. But I have a feeling that we're actually pretty close. So, next topic, and it could be kind of like a combined topic. We did touch on Dragon Ball FighterZ. And obviously this is a Nintendo channel. And there's no Dragon Ball FighterZ on the Switch. Neither is a Monster Hunter World on the Switch. But here's the thing that's interesting. I know if you look at Game Explain, there are certain games that they stream or cover that aren't on a Nintendo system, but they know Nintendo fans like those games, like Soul Calibur, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, like Monster Hunter World, and usually it's basically a game that's had a history on Nintendo, or it's like a big anime game that's expected to come to Nintendo, you know? Which is why, kind of the reason why we're talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ and Monster Hunter World, but also because they're awesome and they just came out. But all of us here are mostly Nintendo fans. We do play other platforms, but it's kind of one of those things where like, oh, I kind of wish I did have it on Switch. Like, I'm loving the heck out of Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's really giving my PS4 some run right now, but I do kind of wish I had it on the go. You know, like it's one of those games that like I would like to just kind of work on combos when I'm away. And because I can't take it away from me, I haven't really left my house since the game came out. Yeah, what'd you say, Will?
I said I just want everything on Switch, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of
everything, dude. Everything.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, it's almost like every game that comes out is like, oh, this would be great on Switch. This would be great on Switch. Can you guys think of something that wouldn't be great on Switch?
No. Even
VR?
bad games would be good on Switch.
Yeah.
Even horrible games.
Sonic 06.
Superman 64 would be good on Switch.
Yeah. Not VR, though. I think any VR game.
People would buy it. Some reason people would buy Superman 64
well,
on Switch.
Yeah. I would buy Superman 64 on the Switch. I would buy it for like a couple bucks just to like, you know, because it's like a piece of gaming history. It's like, this is the lowest of the low. Like, if you want to see...
I would get Sonic 06 on Switch.
Yeah, if you're feeling like you need to abuse yourself,
Right.
You can do that on the go. Anywhere you want.
Well, maybe you know, 10, 15 years from now when I have kids or something or whoever, I don't know, maybe it'll be sooner. Like I hope not. But like I'll punish them by forcing them to play Super Mario 64.
Oh my gosh, dude.
With a Nintendo 64 controller, so they will hurt their thumbs.
Oh.
Dude, Nintendo. Now, okay, we're getting Nintendo Labo.
Yeah.
Now we're getting a way to discipline our kids with our Nintendo Switch. We can make them play crappy games on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Well, you know what's interesting though is I don't think the Switch is gonna suffer from shovelware the way the Wii did. You know, like the Wii was super successful, and there was tons of games coming to the Switch, but a big bulk of those games were what we call shovelware. And if you guys don't know what shovelware is, think of a shovel and you're shoveling trash and garbage and dung and horse poop. Shovelware, like software, hardware, shovelware. That is what was coming to the Wii. There was tons of shovelware like My Little Pony 3, My Just Dance 6 Revolution 9. You know, like not Nintendogs.
Adventure of the Krabby Patty.
Yes, dogs, cats, birds. These are all titles for games. Like
Earthworms?
Earthworm. Earthworm. That's a franchise
Actually,
that
Worms
was
is
really
a cool
good.
game.
Oh yeah, that is a cool game. No, but Nintendo is doing a better job of restricting like what goes on the Switch. I mean, there
Are they restricting
some suspect games out there. Like there's
there
that
is
one
still some terrible
witch
games.
game. Like but it's not as bad as.
Oh yeah, that witch broom. Oh god.
Troll and I, the most optimized game.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Man, but
universe.
Troll and I.
That looked good. I don't know what happened. That looked good.
Yeah,
the trailers look good.
That looked really ambitious. I really want to play that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, actually, this is completely... Well, we went off topic, but I guess this is bringing us back to it, because I saw an interesting comment by PopSlayer. He said an MMO wouldn't be great on Switch, which is actually relevant to what we're talking about, games being great on Switch. Wouldn't be great on Switch because you need online all the time. And, actually, Dragon Ball FighterZ kind of functions like an MMO. And they do it semi-well. Semi-well. It's like one of my few gripes with the game. So the thing is, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, when you go into the game, you go into a lobby, an online lobby. You do have an option to go offline, though. But when you go into the online lobby, you see a whole bunch of little chibi characters running around, and it's like there are these different mini servers. And through there, you can access everything immediately with a button, but you can travel to different parts of the map. It's a small little map. Which one part might be the arcade mode, one part might be local multiplayer, one part might be training, one part might be story, another part would be like, you know, kind of random online matches, another part would be like competitive online matches. And you can access all of this in like this little mini server where you see different chibi characters running around. So it's like a mini MMO. But it has an online option, so basically you have access to everything else outside of, you know, competing with people online. So the game still functions, and they could make an MMO like that on Switch. But yes, there would need to be some customization because it is portable inherently.
Yeah, but that's kind of like I don't know about that argument, because Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is the same thing. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is basically online, and then you also have the Dragon Quest games on 3DS in Japan. You know, so I don't know. I think an MMO would be fine, man. In fact, I think the Switch.
We got Dragon Quest 11 coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it works. I guess MMOs still do work. Like, but what about like a full MMO like World of Warcraft, right? Like, Xenoverse isn't a World of Warcraft because it has like I haven't played Xenoverse like apart from like small little spurts, so I haven't like explored the game fully. But correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's not like the entire world is an MMO. It's just like a little area, right?
Yeah, it's like it's Destiny. If you ever played Destiny, it's the same thing. It's a hub world, you know, but you know, you see like 20 guardians at once at the max. Same thing with Xenoverse. It's like you might see, I mean, there might be a little bit more than 20 people in there, but I mean, if it all depends on how they I guess how they build the world. You know, if you can you have a maximum of like 10 players at once, you know, throughout the world. I mean, that's still kind of cool, man. I really do think that the Nintendo should do something like that for the US, because we really haven't had a game as far as the Nintendo consoles go in the US that's been an MMO like ever.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the last time you can say that?
Yeah.
If anything, Phantasy Star maybe. right?
Mhm.
When Advanced Star came out for GameCube.
I'd say it depends on how you use your Switch, because a lot of people, lie in their bed. In fact, I feel like that is most of what the portable mode is used for. Like it's just super convenient to have that option. You're still at home and you're still connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I use.
here's the thing
That's what I
though.
use it.
Pop Slayer is saying he means like a full MMO. Like I guess what he means like is like World of Warcraft though, right? Where it's a huge giant world, right? Where there's people moving about all the time, and most of the gameplay is kind of dependent upon online interaction. Like most of the game. At that point, you can't like have like an offline mode where you still access, local multiplayer campaign, all the mission mode stuff like that. So I can kind of see how that wouldn't technically fit on it, but I mean, you could still make an MMO for Switch. I agree, Andy. Like it would be really cool if Nintendo made a Pokemon MMO, maybe a Xenoblade MMO, right? And they could make it work.
Should have been MMO. It would have worked better that way.
I mean, they have some MMO tendencies. Like it's like kind of like I would like the future to eventually be kind of like a Xenoblade MMO. I think it's really suiting for that. But they would have to kind of figure out a way where you can still get a big chunk of the experience when you're not connected online. I mean, they don't have to do that, because there are some Switch games that are only portable. There could be some Switch games that are online only, so maybe you can still play it portably, but you have to be connected online. So they could technically do that, but I feel like if it was Nintendo, they would create it in a way where you could still get a lot of fun even when you're not connected to the internet.
Well, yeah, it's Nintendo though, so yeah.
Yeah, but who plays Splatoon for the single player?
Me.
Come on.
I mean,
you're right.
Sometimes
you're kind of right, Andy, about that though. Splatoon is kind of like it's an online focused game. You can't play Salmon Run without online. You can't play multiplayer without online. Like there's no split screen in the game. There's just a single player campaign, and I mean you get like 4 to 5 hours out of that. That's pretty much it. So I hear you. Maybe you're right.
I mean, maybe they're out there. Those those single player Splatoon players. Maybe they're out there.
But my point is this though. The single player campaign is something. It's something. It's a game to still play. You can still have fun with the game when you're offline. Not as much fun. True. But all I'm saying is if there was an MMO, it would still function when there's no internet. You know what I mean? And something like World of Warcraft wouldn't really function with no internet. So
I'm wondering maybe if they'd make some way to grind levels offline.
I don't see why not. Yeah.
Does Dragon Quest have that? I don't know. I've never played Dragon Quest as far as the online goes. Does it have an offline mode?
If we used our internet from our phones, our data would go through the roof. Like that's maybe in 2024 when data is
unlimited
free.
Data is like unlimited text and talk.
Yeah. At that, I don't know what'll be the new thing they'll be charging us then. Yeah.
I'm sure unlimited data eventually is going to be like. I mean, nobody pays for unlimited texting anymore. Like that's just not a thing. It's just unlimited. You just get a plan and it's unlimited. So eventually, I think it's going to be like you get a data plan and it's just unlimited no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like the beauty of the Switch lies in the fact that it is convenient to be in portable mode, but it can blend in with just like one of those regular box consoles. Be a problem as long as you don't remove it from or you just don't leave your house.
Yeah. See, I don't think the fact that it is portable should hinder any, at home or docked experience. I feel like that would be. I don't know. I feel like that would just be dumb to hinder it just because you can take it where there's no Wi-Fi. I mean, you could set up an Xbox One where there's no Wi-Fi.
Right.
Like,
but at first they didn't plan for that though. Initially, when the Xbox One was announced, you weren't going to be able to play your games unless you were connected online. So
they quickly took that off, huh?
They quickly took that off once they heard the backlash. Yeah. Because there are still people that, are... What if there's a hurricane? Then you can't play your Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, for like a week.
Xbox? Yeah.
Terrible. So, you know, I agree that you shouldn't be forced to have online to be able to play some games. Like, in fact, that's what I hate about Super Mario Run on my phone. I can't play online sometimes. Now, hear me out. Yes, my phone is always connected to the internet. Well, almost always. If I'm headed into New York and I'm in a subway and there's a lot of major cities with lots of people who have phones that want to play Super Mario Run or Fire Emblem and they can't because they're in the subway and they're underground and there's no online connection. That sucks.
Yeah. I feel like, especially Super Mario Run, I mean, like, if you paid for the game, you should be able to play it offline.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, the other ones I kind of get because they don't want you, like, hacking and stealing microtransactions, but Mario Run, come on, you just pay to play it, and then you're good. So...
Yeah, but you still have to be connected online. That pisses me off. So, actually, yeah, Ben's saying he has an internet router thing that's portable. Yeah, some people do have that, but there's still lots of people who can't connect online all the time. Right, and I still have trouble believing that it would work in the subway. But, you know, I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there who will not be able to play some games online all the time. So, but anyways, the point is, to kind of bring this conversation full circle, because we still have a lot to talk about. MMO, is it possible on Switch? Absolutely. But if it's a full-scale MMO like World of Warcraft or something, there would need to be some customizations, probably. They should probably be mindful of people who aren't always connected to the internet. Maybe allowing them to kind of, like, grind, you know, or maybe have some side quests you can play single-player-wise, I guess. At least if Nintendo were to do it. But, you know... It's still possible. You can make it run. You can make anything work, really, on the Switch. You just...
Yeah, look at the low settings on Dragonball FighterZ.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I can't believe...
That's your Switch port right there, buddy.
I can't believe... So, guys, if any of you see something from Nintendo Life or whatever, talking about how the Switch can just barely run, you know, something that looks like it was on the original DS, it's because they're doing it for clickbait. So there's this...
Android game.
Yeah, so basically people got Dragon Ball FighterZ on PC and they scaled down all of the settings to the lowest of the low. So it's like in like 320p, like, you know, no aliasing, like blurry textures, like blurrier than blur, and it looks like a DS game. It
you can count the pixels. You can count them. You can count them.
You literally count them. So it looks like a DS game when the settings are at the lowest of the low. And Nintendo's like, oh, like maybe Dragon Ball FighterZ can now come to the Switch at these lowest of low settings. And I'm just like, are you serious? Okay, guys, here's the thing. Dragon Ball FighterZ, in its current form, exactly as it is on PS4 or Xbox One, will look exactly the same and run exactly the same on the Nintendo Switch. That is not a graphically intensive game at all. It runs on Unreal Engine 4, and anyone who tells you otherwise, either A, is a hater, or B, doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So, that's the truth.
Also, aren't isn't the FPS like even lower to
match the anime style? So it doesn't even have like a super fast frame rate all the time. Yeah. So yeah, there's literally no reason to think that this game won't look any different on Switch. It won't. It'll run the same as well. So yeah, fake news, Nintendo Life.
Hashtag fake news.
Yeah, fake joke. But if they are serious about that, then they got some.
Well, I mean, what they understand that the game can run probably pretty close to the other versions. They know that, but the way they presented it was clickbaity because they.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't read the article. It was garbage. Like
it was garbage. It was garbage. Exactly.
Xenoverse 2 actually runs. It looks better on the Switch than the PS4 and Xbox One. Like I don't know why, but there's like a certain look that the PS4 and Xbox One version has that it looks cleaner on the Switch.
Huh. And that
probably some form of heavy anti-aliasing, and there's not anti-aliasing on the Switch version, so it's sharper, so it looks clearer, but it's not as, I guess, less. There's more jaggies, but it's sharper picture.
So I guess because it's cell shaded, that works, but for other games it might not, right?
I feel like the fact that you even have to, because 2K18 looks like really similar to the other versions, so I feel like just that fact alone that you have to squint your eyes. I think I see a texture that sort of looks different.
I don't see their sweat beads. I don't see their sweat.
Yeah, I feel like if you have to look that close, that alone is amazing. So
yeah, 2K18 does look amazing, by the way, man. That game looks incredible on the Switch. That's a great showcase game for the Switch. Like, look, this is what it could do.
Bro, if Dragonball FighterZ or Monster Hunter World were on the Switch, those would be great showcase games. Like, hey, look what I'm playing on my Switch, right? Which kind of slowly moving us down the topics here. We can still talk about FighterZ and Monster Hunter World, FighterZ, and coming to Switch are all going to become like combined topics. But like, what do you guys think of these games coming to the Switch? I don't think it's confirmed that Dragon Ball FighterZ is heading to the Switch, but from what I have heard in the past, basically they said, "Oh, we understand that there's a lot of." They understand that people want the game on Switch, and they basically said, "Hey, if sales for Xenoverse 2 do pretty well, then the game will probably come over to the Switch." And sales have gone pretty well. So we're all expecting Dragon Ball FighterZ to be announced for Switch eventually, especially since it's one of those games that apparently is going to probably have a more upgraded version in a year down the road anyways, with all the DLC and extra content. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, this 8-character DLC pack that's coming soon for FighterZ, the Switch version is going to include all of that DLC at the end of the year, you know, for $60. I could see that happening. As for Monster Hunter World, it's a different story. But what do you guys think before we sort of continue?
I don't like how Bandai Namco...
Oh, you can go first.
I like how Bandai Namco is handling the whole thing. Because, like you pretty much said, it's selling, like, incredibly. And they're like, they pull that whole, hey, port bag for it, we might give it to you. They're just holding it above our heads and stuff like that. So I don't really like that, first of all. And then secondly, now they're like, oh, the sales are really good. It's like, so can we get it on Switch yet? Oh man, the sales are really good. Yeah, but what about FighterZ?
Sales are really good. Yeah.
It's like they want us to keep buying it so we can keep hyping up FighterZ, and I don't really like it.
Yeah.
That's basically what I think.
And you know, the thing is, like, I might not get it on Switch unless I get a review code. But, you know, like, because I already have it on PS4, but I do wish it was portable, so maybe I'll just, like, attach a battery pack to my PS4, or, like, put it on my backpack, get a little, like, screen, you know. It's possible. The technology exists. But, yeah, I know FighterZ is gonna come. It's just a matter of time. But Monster Hunter World, on the other hand, is something that may not come at all. Now, I mean, Andy, we sort of, like, touched on it on Twitter a little bit. Like, he was talking about the game, and I was like, oh, you know, I said I think it'll come, right? But I think if it comes, it's going to be probably, like, maybe a different version. Like, because with Monster Hunter, they usually come out with upgraded versions for each game, like, every year anyways. So that might happen. Cool. Yeah. What do you think, Andy?
I mean,
I know you don't even like Monster Hunter.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball FighterZ, I'll be happy if it does come to Switch, but it's been a while now. I mean, the Switch has been out for a year now. Devs have had the dev kits for what, 2 years, at least, right?
I think it depends a little bit on the developer. It might be more like a year and a half for a lot of people.
Year and a half,
actually,
okay.
Close with Nintendo, actually, on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't Capcom get with Nintendo to increase
the RAM?
Exactly, increase the RAM. So
I thought, it was Capcom. Yeah.
So Miyamoto has said that it takes a year to port a game to the Switch, like a year, like a big game. He wasn't talking about small games because we already know small games get ported to the Switch in a month, 2 months, 3 months. We already know that. So big games take a year to port. What
if they have a direct sequel to Resident Evil 4? Okay, I know that sounds...
I would like that, but I'm just starting to... it's the time is ticking, and it's kind of getting annoying. These devs aren't, like, releasing the games at the same time that they're released for other... Or at least announcing them. At least announce them. Don't, like, you know, it's been a while now. Like, the Switch is selling. You have a user base now. Use it. You know, like, make games and port them over. Like, it's really getting annoying. So, I'm just hoping that we get these games and not... This is not becoming a trend of... a game releases for PS4 and Xbox One. Now that we got all the sales out for it, now that everybody's bought it, now we're gonna bring it to you guys. You know, 6 months.
I do want to provide a little bit of a counter argument to what you're saying, though, right? Or like kind of like a different perspective, because the thing is, you're right. There still are games that are not being announced, and developers are losing out on profit because of this. You know, Monster Hunter World would have done amazingly well on the Switch. It's doing well regardless, but imagine how much better, right?
Yeah.
So they're losing out on some
Those are
potential
4-year-old
sales there. And the other thing, but the thing I want to get at is that those announcements still may be coming. Well, keep in mind, this is the end of January, right? But the holiday season just happened. The announcement could still be happening, but the way I feel like it works is that us, the consumers, react immediately, you know? But PR cannot necessarily always react immediately, you know, at least when it comes to announcements, you know? Like, because they have to hear back from the development team, you know, have to be okayed, then they sort of pick a time and date to announce something, and before that date happens, they can't be like, oh, yeah, it's coming. Like, they have to keep their lips sealed, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that, like, PR, like, you know, the voices of these companies we're talking about, like, their reaction time to things is a lot slower. And that's also compiled with developers because, of course, you know, for example, Monster Hunter World, that game started development apparently like 4 years ago. At that point, there was no real Switch to focus on, and the other thing to take into consideration is that even if they knew a Nintendo system was coming, they weren't going to trust it until they knew that the sales are really good, which honestly has only been like something that developers have known for like the last half year. So that's what I think the issue is, that developers haven't really decided to go all in until just a few months ago.
And that's fine, but what I'm saying is I don't want this to be a trend. Is that it's fine until now, and we're still in that time where it's acceptable. But like I don't want it to be like a year from now, and we're still getting announcements of games that are coming out for other systems. Oh, you guys are going to get it, but much later, 6 months later, 8 months later, paying at $60, while the other guys can buy that same game for $20. You know, like it's okay until now. Like I didn't mind people buying Doom. I didn't buy it, but I didn't mind people buying Doom at $60. Because it's the trial period. Like the Nintendo fan base needed to show these third-party developers, like, hey, we will back your games if you bring them over, and that's fine. But we already did it. We showed you. We bought Skyrim. We bought L.A. Noire. We bought Xenoverse. We're buying all these games. So now they need to respond and not just keep doing the same thing. You know, later on is what I'm talking about. Not now. Now it's fine.
Right. I think Sungo was responding earlier, but he totally agrees with your entire mindset, Andy. I agree with you as well, but you know, I'm just kind of saying. VC Online actually said this. He thinks that there will be a massive transition to the Switch for a lot of third-party publishers by this October. I think it's pretty believable. I don't know if October will be the time. Maybe. It could be close to there. Maybe we'll see it at E3. But I definitely think we're going to see more of a transition to, you know, more developers like saying, hey, yeah, this is coming, because I want it to get to a point where it is day and date. Like, we don't have to be like, oh, where's the Switch version? Where's the Switch version? We don't have to be looking at the bottom of every trailer to see if there's a Switch symbol. It should just be expected to be there, you know? That's where the Switch should be at within a year, I think. Also, Pop Slayer, there's quite a few people in the chat. I know some people are trying to recommend a game for you. I don't know what game you should get, because out of what exactly? I heard like Doom, Skyrim. If you're just looking for like a third-party single-player game that's going to give you a lot of run, if you've never played Skyrim before, I feel like that's probably your best bet. Now, if we're just talking about like on Switch, if you've never played Skyrim before, if you're looking for like a non-Nintendo adventure game, Skyrim I think might be the best thing to get for you if you're really into like medieval sort of RPG action sort of stuff with like side quests and stories. Yeah, I would go with that. If you're looking for something very shootery, well, you got Doom, and that's also a pretty good option as well.
Yeah, Skyrim could be a good follow-up for Breath of the Wild.
Oh, actually, no. I see what he's Okay, so he says I was deciding on Xenoblade, Skyrim, Doom, or a future game. Like if you had to pick one game.
Xenoblade, dude.
Xenoblade,
yeah,
probably. I mean, Xenoblade, I do feel like Skyrim is a little bit more mainstream, but if you're into like anime and RPGs, I would definitely 100% go for Xenoblade.
Xenoblade's a better game.
If for whatever reason you're one of those people who doesn't like anime at all, like you hate it, probably Skyrim. But I mean,
Skyrim was good 7 years ago.
But it's old. But it's still old. That's true. Xenoblade's a new game. Yeah, exactly. Xenoblade is a new game. So.
I just can't take Skyrim seriously when I'm trying to play through the story and I'm talking to this dragon and then all of a sudden he glitches out, like morphs into himself and then flies up in the air a million feet away from me. I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Like, what the fuck, man?
Okay.
Come on.
Why haven't they fixed Skyrim, man?
And so the Switch version is supposedly the less glitchy one out of all the versions, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
True, but I mean, also, you know, it did have like 7 years to optimize.
Yeah.
So
I played the remastered PC version, and I was just like, it didn't feel optimized. If that's optimized, I don't want to play the other version.
Yeah.
I wonder what unoptimized is for them.
Which kind of says a lot about Breath of the Wild, right? Because that game is so huge, and I have found glitches, but they're few and far between, and they're never like insane. You know, like the horse glitching into a mountain. Like, that never happens.
And I found my first glitch 2 days ago. I was crawling. I was crawling up the Colosseum where you fight that Lionel.
Oh yeah.
And I got trapped in one of the blocks. I had this has never happened.
Oh my god!
Before.
What? So I found something interesting, and I don't want to get into the Zelda retrospective yet. I want to save that for the end. But just to kind of add to that, one of my I had some family come over in December. And they're from Colombia, so like over there, video games are super expensive. They're like 2 to 3 times more expensive. So like my cousin, like he has a Nintendo 64, right? He doesn't have a Nintendo Switch, you know. So I was showing him Breath of the Wild. He's really exploring like the beginning of the game, the Great Plateau, and he discovered a glitch in like within the first like hour of the play of the game. Like that part where the field there's air blowing through this field of dry grass and fire can spread really easily into like this little cavern. So, but at the end of the cavern is like a giant skull cave. You know what I'm talking about, right? He got fire to spread throughout the entire thing, even around the skull, and he found fire that burned through the outside of the skull into the inside. Like, it crept from under the skull, like even though there was no way to creep under. Like the fire went through the wall. Which, in terms of like real life, that's not how it works. So it was a little bit of a glitch, and as I explain it, it's like not even that major, but like that was like it stands out so much because you don't see anything like that at all throughout. You could play the game for over 100 hours and not see anything like that, which is amazing because that was his first time playing the game and he found the glitch. You know, yeah, kind of crazy. So, but we'll get to Breath of the Wild in a little bit. Let's. Any final thoughts on this topic about, you know, Monster Hunter, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and other games coming to Switch?
Yeah, I mean, some people are like, oh, Monster Hunter looks too good, it's too graphically intense to be on the Switch. I'm like, bro, if they can bring Wolfenstein 2, that game is
we haven't
so
seen
gameplay
for it yet, though, so it might look
like
GoldenEye.
But we know it's coming.
If
they can bring Wolfenstein.
It might look like the DS, like a DS game with 320p, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if it can run on the Xbox One, pretty much they can bring to Switch. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
There's not that big of a power difference, really not.
To be honest, guys, and you know what? I kind of hope a hater sees this. That probably not, but I am so sick and tired of getting into arguments. With not even arguments, just like because you know I make videos and sometimes I make videos talking about games coming onto Switch. Like I made a video about Doom coming to Switch before it came to Switch, right? And there were comments that were like, "You're an idiot. There's no way that game's gonna look good. It's gonna run like shit. Blah blah blah. This and that." I'm just like, and I say, look, any game can be optimized for the Switch. It's like, oh, there's only so much optimization you can do. You're so wrong. Like, but the truth is, that is not the case. Doom technically is. A lot of its settings are like lower than the lowest settings on PC, but it still looks relatively good on the Switch, you know. And in portable mode, it looks great. And basically, what I'm saying is that anyone who tells you that a game can't run on the Switch usually either saying that because either A, like I said earlier, they're a hater, or B, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they may pretend to know about development, but they don't actually do. So, just my hateful 2 cents, my salty 2 cents, whatever you want to call it.
At this point, I don't really think there's... I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't think, oh, this system is so weak that the game can't run. Like, there's always going to have to be... Like, if a developer made a game for the PlayStation 4, they'd have to optimize for Xbox because technically it is the less powerful system. So at this point, I do think that optimizing can do miracles, especially since the Switch has the same architecture.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was getting a question from Ben about music requests, like, during the stream. So, like, I don't know if you guys know, but obviously it's a gaming discussion, so I try to put, like, video game music. For the most part, there's sometimes exceptions, like, for example, like with Dragon Ball, like, during this stream, there might be a little bit of Dragon Ball music. But I edit the videos and I place it in a way to make sure I don't get any copyright claims or strikes. So, like, if you want me to change the music during a stream, or you have any requests, put them in beforehand, and maybe I'll think about what I can put in the playlist for next week's discussion. So, yeah, just, you know, that disclaimer. I'm sorry, well, I kind of, like, you know, took away from what you were saying. Could you kind of say that one more time for me, please?
Oh, it's fine. I was basically saying, like, I don't think that... Because I'm pretty sure Activision put a Call of Duty game on the Nintendo DS. So, as far as I'm concerned, anything is possible. Especially since, like, it's like a PlayStation 3 game, and, like, it just... Power is just so irrelevant. And I feel like a lot of people...
Resident Evil was on Game Boy Color. That's all you gotta know.
Exactly.
Resident Evil on Game Boy Color, man.
Yeah.
Anything can be done.
Like, I was watching I was watching the Digital Foundry video about Doom, and they started off that video showing off Doom on the Game Boy. Like, that was crazy just to see, you know? Considering back then the time. So, like, in this day and age, where technology is at, so many game engines are set up in a way where they can have settings that change all the time, because everything's basically made for PC, and PC games in general have scalable settings. So it's really easy to get a game to run on pretty much any piece of gaming hardware that comes out in this day and age, you know? So, like, yeah, it may not look as good. The resolution may be lower, the firmware may be a little, you know, janky, but it's gonna still run. So, yeah, whatever, man. People love to hate, people love to be ignorant, but, you know, you guys who are watching this discussion, just know anything can run the Switch. It may not be the best version, it may be a slower frame rate, it may be a little blurry, but it will run, and if the developer cares enough, they can make it look good. So,
and what gets me is people saying like games like Doom didn't deserve like a high score because it didn't look as good as the other versions, and that's stupid. It's like, if you have a good experience with it, who cares if it's not like...
Well, the portable part of it should offset the visual downgrade. You know, if you really want to pick it apart like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're having fun with it, who cares if it's a good time and you're having fun? Are you gonna be playing, and halfway through you're gonna be like, wait a minute, this isn't in 4K.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, you're having fun with something, it's not gonna change that. You know?
I saw something interesting from LSU Cyndaquil. He said he got Doom 2016 to run on his $300 laptop at 60 frames per second. I don't know how you did that, but that's pretty cool. Yeah. So definitely, I mean, yeah, games can run. So I think
that's what I hate about the whole power, like this whole power movement, and the whole thing where Sony basically has a monopoly, and now power always has to be a conversation. Like, ooh, I would like to see this PS4 game come to the Switch. Like, you can never, you just say, I think it would be cool if it could run, and like they're like, well, it'd probably be crappy. It's like, come on, dude, the game would be fun on the Switch. Like, I want Anthem on the Switch. It's like, and I had to run like shit. It's like, no, but I think the game is fun. Like, the game looks fun.
Yeah, and another thing, like, people complain so much about like how the Switch version of Doom looks, and like it's only 30 frames per second instead of 60. I'm like, dude, You've seen the Xbox One version of this game. It's not that much better. It's not at a full 900p. It runs between 35 and 55 frames per second most of the time. Like, it's not like the Xbox One version's over here at 1080p at a smooth 60 FPS, and then, you know, the Switch version over here is at 720p at 30. Like, the gap's not as big as people make it out to be.
That's
That game just has hard.
At
that
point, they're splitting hairs.
Yeah, it's hard to run on
Go
consoles
for it.
already. Like, you're complaining that it's running worse on a handheld. It's already a tough game to run on consoles. It's not like this game that's just running perfectly on the Xbox One at 1080p 60 FPS, and then on the Switch it just, you know, can't do anything. Like, this is a graphically intense game.
So, I think we are all in total agreement here. If anyone does disagree, let me know in the comments. But let's kind of, yeah, we can gang up on you. That's right. Well, no, I'm just kidding. But you know, but let's kind of conclude this topic. I think Dragon Ball FighterZ is inevitable for the Switch. Maybe it'll be like an Ultimate Edition with more DLC or something, like included DLC is what I mean. And Monster Hunter World, I do 100% believe that there will be a Monster Hunter coming to Switch. Will it be Monster Hunter World? I don't think so. Maybe like an updated version of World, potentially, but also potentially could be a separate Monster Hunter kind of game. So we'll see. But do you guys disagree with that? Do you think it could be one or the other or something else or nothing?
We'd probably get a special like game built from the ground up using the Switch's features and like a complete edition. We want to maximize
that would be cool. That would be cool, especially because like the last few years, Capcom has banked on Nintendo fans. You know, when it comes to Monster Hunter, so it's a little weird for them not to do something like that, honestly.
I mean, I feel like Monster Hunter World is kind of like a side project, even though it's not really a side project. It's hard to call that a side project, but you know what I mean. Like I feel like there's probably another Monster Hunter game coming. That's potentially true, but maybe they just I don't know. It kind of makes sense.
Really
like it's hard to believe that they would just completely bastardize this this handheld Monster Hunter market. You know what I mean? It feels like they have to have something that's separate, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really care what anyone says. Capcom was working way too closely with Nintendo on the very concept of the Switch to like not have this game ready for it. So I'm disappointed in them and Bandai Namco as Japanese developers.
Yeah,
first and foremost.
So let's move on. I agree. I think we all agree. So actually, some people are asking about Google console. That's literally the topic we're going to talk about now. So
great timing, guys.
Great timing. Yeah, it's perfect actually. So apparently, there are some rumors going about that Google is going to be entering the console market. They're going to be directly competing with Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. Directly competing. That is what the information, the rumors are coming to us. And apparently, there's a big announcement. If you guys just saw a cat jump, that's because the cat just jumped out of my closet. But apparently, there's a big announcement expected at the Game Developers Conference. That's in March, I believe. I don't know if they changed the date. It's normally in March. And there's another thing, though. I think his name is Phil Harrison, if I remember that correctly. Phil Harrison is hired by Google to be the vice president. He's been moved over to California, and it's a big deal. He worked for PlayStation for 15 years. He was a big part of building the PlayStation brand, and the PlayStation brand is huge. Here's the thing. The marketing for Sony, in my opinion, is their strongest skill. It's not their first-party games, it's not their third-party games, it's not the way they make their hardware, it's the way they market their systems. Think about it. They basically won the generation, quote-unquote, against, Xbox the moment PS4 was announced. Because all they said is like, oh, you can play our system without online. And everyone just cheered like, oh my god, Sony's amazing! Even there was no, like...
They're giving us basic features!
Exactly.
They're not restricting our freedom.
Right, but they understand how to speak to the people. They're really good at marketing. And I feel like Phil Harrison plays to that a little bit. I don't understand the entire history there, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But I feel like it's safe to say that he plays to that a little bit. right? Maybe not that specific moment, but just the history of Sony being great at marketing the PlayStation brand. And he worked with Xbox for a few years as well, and now he's working with Google. So, given Google's massive amount of money, their knack for innovation, this incredible hiring, and these rumors, I do think it is possible that a Google console could be coming, and that's what people are thinking. That's what the rumors are saying. And I have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to let you guys sort of jump at it first, give me your initial impressions, because this is potentially a huge topic.
Well, first, I just wanted to point out, if you guys didn't think this guy was smart enough already, he actually quit. He actually quit working at Microsoft because he was not approving of what they were doing with the Xbox brand. So that just makes him that much smarter. Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, okay.
Dang. I don't know what. This is so weird. Like, when I think of Google, I just think of Google Chrome. It's like all I think about. But they have all these different things. Like, I feel like maybe they would make a handheld, because I'm looking at all their like different hardware they have. I mean, they have like the Google Pixel. They have the the Pixel Book. They have all these little like portable things, or things that are like convenience and portability things. They don't really have any like you don't have any like PCs or anything that would just sit around, like stay somewhere. So I feel like maybe they would make a handheld, or maybe they would try to copy the Switch and make some kind of weird hybrid thing. I don't know. It just feels like I don't see them just making a console that just sits there at your at your desk or.
I want to say something to that, Brandon, but I feel like Andy wants to say something. He hasn't spoken about this yet.
I just think, like, I don't know, man. An outside, even if they get like expertise, and even with a lot of money, an outsider just jumping into, a business that they know nothing about. Because let's be honest, Google does not know the gaming, the hardcore gamers. They're not into that kind of business. You know what I'm saying? They even like, and if you think about it, I mean, they're kind of losing the whole like casting stuff to Amazon Fire. So they lost that, so they're not like, people think like, oh, it's Google, they can't lose. Yeah, they can, like the Google Pixel, yeah, it's doing good now, but it didn't really in the beginning, like, so I don't know, man, like, unless they come in and they just start throwing money around like crazy, which is really risky, because you start buying a bunch of developers, and then, they make a couple bad games, and that's all it takes. You start losing money for a couple, for a year or so, and so unless they do that, I don't see it being anything more than like a Ouya,
right?
Ouya? How do you say that?
I think it's Ouya. But to what you're saying, Andy, I agree. I don't know if people realize this, how many people realize this, but like a lot of companies have tried to get into the home console market, the business. Like it hasn't just been Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And it wasn't like Sega was the last company to try, No, like there's been a lot of companies that have tried throughout the history of the industry, and many, many, many have failed miserably. The Ouya is probably the closest thing to anything aside from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo doing anything. Actually, no, I would say Steam. Steam is kind of like that fourth platform, if anything. It's a very hard business to get into, and there have been some pretty big companies that have tried and failed. I mean, Atari sucks now. Sega doesn't have the means to do it, and that's another thing to consider here.
But do you know why it's a hard business to get into?
Do I know why?
Because gamers are weird. We are a bunch of weirdos. We like weird stuff. Like, who would have known that? Like, the one of the best game of the years is about a stupid guy with a cup as a head, shooting at the devil or whatever. Like, gamers are weird. You can't like, it's a tough business to crack, man. Unless you're in it for like, unless you're in it, it's a tough business.
I agree. That is definitely a part of it, to understand what caters to different audiences, and that's the thing. There's fan bases here. Like it's not like, okay, yeah. So for example, there are people who might prefer Coke over Pepsi. Right, but you're not gonna. How many fanboy? Actually, there probably are a fair bit of fanboy arguments over Coke over Pepsi, but no one's gonna like get really upset and punch someone or hate someone or block them or mute them or hate. You know, like they're not gonna do that. No one's gonna say, "Oh, you're stupid for liking Pepsi. You should go to hell." Right? But when it comes to like Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, there are people that say that. You know, like it's a whole other level. Like, the level of fandom, and it's just, that's one of many ready facets that make it really hard to be in this business. I agree, Andy. It's crazy.
I think a lot of it just stems from jealousy. Not everyone can afford all the systems, so they afford the one that they think is the best one. And then when they see an experience they can't have because they can't afford to have the other system, they get upset. And so they're like, oh, fuck you, your system sucks.
Yeah, I think that happens to a degree.
I don't play Mario anyway, stupid kids game.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Actually, it's kind of funny. Green HX, I know him from real life, Marty. He said he gets upset when he's at restaurants and he asks for a Sprite and they give him a Sierra Mist. He can tell the difference. You know.
Right in their face.
Sierra Mist is terrible.
I don't really like Sprite that much. I like the other kind of lemon lime.
I don't think you can come on this podcast anymore, Brandon. I'm just kidding.
Dr. Pepper's the best. Shall live forever is the best soda.
Definitely.
Hashtag 23
Dr.
flavors.
Pepper is the goat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
also,
Dr.
Pepsi's way better than Coke.
Yeah. So, something else I wanted to say, though, one of many things, is that it takes money, kind of, to be in this business in a way. But let me explain. So, Sega bowed out of the console business for a lot of reasons, but basically they could not, to manage hardware and software, there was too much for them to balance. They weren't big enough of a company during the early 2000s to continue that business, so they transitioned over fully to being just a third-party publisher and developer. And it's also one of the reasons why Nintendo makes the decisions they do. They always have. They've never... even when they make a powerful console, right, there's always things that they cut because they're trying to manage costs. They're trying to be cost effective because they're not big. They're not a huge company. They're a big company, obviously, but they're not big like Microsoft or Google, which is why I think Google has a shot. A lot of smaller companies can't really, create hardware, which is why most companies just focus on software. But Google, on the other hand, is very powerful. They are powerful like Microsoft. For the record, Microsoft is huge, and they were the last company to get into the console market, right, in the way we're talking about. In the early 2000s, it's probably even harder now. But Google might be able to do it because they are huge and they are innovative. But that's the thing, though, right? Like it's going to take more than just have a lot of money and being innovative. Like, how are they going to be innovative, right? Will they actually be innovative, or do they just want to be on Microsoft 2.0? Like, I have a hard time believing that they're going to be successful, because I hear a lot of people mentioning in the chat and different forums, like people talking about this system being like another PlayStation 4 that plays third-party games like crazy and is really powerful. How is that separated from the competition? There's already an Xbox. There's already a PlayStation. Why would you want to do that? I feel like you have to do something different. And in fact...
That's the one.
Okay, you go. I've been ranting. You go. What?
That's the one weakness I think it could have. Because Phil hasn't really worked with a company as innovative as Google. I don't really think. Like, when he was, giving those quotes in the article, he didn't even acknowledge Nintendo's existence. He was like, "Oh yeah, Sony and Microsoft are doing good," and then that was pretty much it.
So, to just sort of steer this slightly in a direction, Ben's asking us, would you want it to be a handheld or a console? Personally,
Has to be handheld.
You think it has to be a handheld. I think it needs to be different. Does that mean handheld necessarily? I don't know.
A chip injected into your eye socket.
Yo.
That's it. That's a system.
What if they mastered VR, right? What if they made a true VR system, like something that was a mastery of it? Like, it made it affordable, and it made it consumer friendly. But when I say consumer friendly, not just affordable, but also they managed to figure out the whole balancing issue. That could be a direction they could go in. Yeah. That's one possibility. Maybe it's a casual system. What if it was What if it's like, you know, like the Wii without Nintendo stuff, you know, but better tech? You know what I mean? Like imagine like Wii Sports sort of stuff, like, you know, different like
Does
motion
anybody
games.
want that?
Maybe.
I feel like
Right.
the Wii audience kind of died.
Did it die, or was it just not a piece of hardware
No,
that really
everybody
made it
that
worth
bought
it?
Wii died.
What?
If they're
Yeah,
not,
they kinda-
if they're not
yeah.
really, if they're everybody that bought a Wii is actually dead. If not, they're dead inside. It's one or the other.
Wow.
Another possibility. Another possibility.
I don't know. They were pretty old people bought it, so that could be true.
Yeah, that's
That's so
scarily
bad.
accurate.
Sorry.
It would be here's the other thing. Google has so much control over so much. What if they use this control to like limit the other companies? I don't know if they would do that, like block like Nintendo games
I
on
feel like they
YouTube
would
or something.
advertise themselves.
No, yeah, I don't think.
Good, man. That's it. If they throw money around, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But I feel like there's more money to be made.
Bro.
There's more money to be made by Nintendo being on YouTube than them blocking Nintendo so they can get more publicity.
If they started
know?
doing that, people would just leave YouTube. Like,
Yeah, like there's no way they would.
Nobody-
And I'm pretty sure. And
They would
Google's
never get
separate
away
from
with that.
YouTube, but they do work closely together. I don't know. Understand the entire hierarchy
Google
of that, but
bought YouTube. Yeah, Google bought YouTube from whoever made it for like $8 million or something.
right. But what I'm saying is, I feel like the Google gaming division wouldn't be like, "Hey, YouTube, block them."
Are
You know,
you sure? Is this what does the what's the news? What does it say? Does it say that they want to make their own device, or they want to pair with someone? Are they going to?
There is no. I mean, I'll go to the article, right? But they
It said
don't.
it was gonna rival Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, which I don't see how they would do that with the handheld unless it was a hybrid.
Well, I mean, if they
I feel
copied
like-
if they copied the Switch, sure.
Depends.
But this is what I think.
Yeah.
What if Google takes advantage of its strengths? What are those strengths?
Unlimited storage.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
something
much.
cloud related. This could be a huge cloud system, right? What if it's something like Google Chromecast or something? You know, what if it's not even a hardware? It's just like a dongle. You plug it into your television, and their streaming whatever capabilities are so amazing that they don't even need hardware. That all their games stream through their servers.
It's
Uh,
not,
I'm not saying
Their
that's not.
servers might be great, but a lot of people don't have internet fast enough for that.
What if they're partnering with Nintendo or Sega to make a new system with them that connects that has you can log in basically your Gmail account or whatever your Google account, and you have all your friends list there. Everything is connected. You know, like it's just one network.
I would like that idea, except everything we've seen from Nintendo suggests they have their own online service coming, and I don't see how Sega. I mean, that's actually That could be something smaller, right? And that's not necessarily as crazy as like creating a whole other system.
Doesn't the rumor say it's going to rival Switch, PS4, and Xbox One?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's also rumors, so
I feel
sometimes
like-
rumors are slightly misconstrued. Compete can mean one thing and really just mean, oh, we're going to create we have a contract with Steam now, so if you get a Steam box or whatever, you can watch Google Chromecast. It could be something as that simple potentially, but it also could be a full-on system, which is what the rumors suggest.
They have the power to. I feel like that there isn't really a debate. Like Google is probably one of the richest companies in the world. Like I feel like they do have.
You have to look at the numbers, but
just
they're really out there. Yeah.
They have the power to brute force their way. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I brought it up in my video, but Microsoft pretty much just like I don't know how to pronounce his name, but like he said, they kind of just threw money around because they were like, "Hey, Sony's making money. Why can't we? Hey, you get money, make me a game. And that's how they did it. So I feel like they have that power, but I feel like it's a matter of them playing their cards right if they do that.
Yeah.
One wrong move could just end it all.
Yeah, but I mean, the phone business is kind of like the same way. There's tons of die-hard like Apple fans and different Android like Samsung fans, and yet they came out with the Google Pixel, and apparently that just like topped the charts this past holiday. So I mean, if they did it for that, there's a possibility they could also do that in the console realm. But I feel like gamers are even more diehard than people who own smartphones. But there's still kind of a comparison there. But then they've had other things like their Google Pixel book, like in their Chromebooks that don't really do well. So it's like I don't know. Some of the stuff they've done
I feel like
stuff they've done has been terrible.
just because the name is Google doesn't mean they're going to destroy everything and rule the world. You know, like I kind of don't. I think it's most likely that they're going to try this, and maybe it sort of works enough to like it sort of exists, like the Ouya, maybe, but it's not going to be like. It's not like we're going to be going to E3 like, oh man, what's Google going to announce? Like, are they going to have like like whatever? I'm trying to think of a name that like that's the thing. They don't even, what franchises would they make? They don't have to create a whole bunch of new IP or buy up IP. Like I don't see how they could ever create a lineup that could compete with Sony or Nintendo or maybe even Microsoft, which we'll get to in a little bit.
I feel like Google has something that the others don't. Like
it's not software.
I mean, as far as the other failed,
it's not software.
I mean, the other failed.
The other failed companies. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, they pretty much have failed, and like the other ones didn't really have that mindset that is already. Phil was with Sony with the PS2, which pretty much has the most units out there and stuff like that. So I feel like him the right way.
Man, that wasn't Phil. That was the one dude that said, "Hey, man, we should put a DVD in it." Like, shut up! No, come on, put a DVD. Oh, okay.
It was totally. So many people bought that just because it was a DVD player.
Right. It was for a while. It was like the cheapest DVD player.
Oh yeah.
How do you not win?
I'm sure there were tens of millions of people who never.
How do you not win when it's a DVD player that also plays games? You know, like. When it was like one of the first DVD players and it was one of the cheaper DVD players that also played games. How do you not win? I don't think this is going to happen with the Google.
What was that game called?
What game?
What was that game called that, I mean, like that game almost came out and it almost turned every PlayStation fanboy into like an Xbox fanboy. It was going to be developed by Platinum.
I have no idea what
I cannot remember the name.
We're not talking about Beautiful Joe, right? It's something that came out on the Xbox?
Nah, it was supposed to come out on Xbox, and it was developed by Platinum.
But it wound up coming out on the PS2?
Oh, no. Xbox One.
Oh,
wow. I was thinking from like 2002. I was like, what you talking about? The Platinum games even exist back then?
I feel like if they have something ambitious, they could get a lot of gamers, because I know a lot of gamers exclusives. I need the exclusives, so I feel like Google, Harrison knows that.
I mean,
hey, gamers are attracted to exclusives.
Yeah. That's my biggest thing. Like, if it doesn't have exclusives, I'm not gonna get it. Like, there's no way I'm getting it unless it has exclusives that I care about. Like, why would I buy it? I don't have money to throw around on a console just because.
I have a hard time believing that Google could come up with an exclusive lineup that's better than even Microsoft right now. It's just they would literally have.
That's not that hard.
That's
What exclusives?
They have Halo. They have Forza. I have a hard time believing that Google within the next 5 years could come up with a franchise that's as good as as those two. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, Halo's
car driving.
Yeah, Halo's kind of dying.
Look, what I'm saying is this. I'm not saying that Microsoft has good. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that Microsoft has good first-party support. They don't. But Google would be hard-pressed to even do better than that, is what I'm saying. I feel like Google is going to struggle. Like, maybe not struggle, but like they're not going to sell their systems because they have good first-party games.
I think you're right in the sense of first-party, but if they go in,
they could get like almost every third-party though.
I'm gonna buy EA or I'm gonna buy another company, like buy a third-party develop, buy a couple of them, and say those are our IPs now. Then
What if Google just partners up with Steam and they create a Google Steam box, and then
I doubt it.
I don't know if Steam would go for that, man.
It's called the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. Like, come on. That's
this
just
isn't
your
put- it's not
third-party
exactly a
machine.
Steam box, but
No, it's not.
they had their own Steam box and it didn't work out. But if Google throws enough money
Steam
at
boxes
them,
don't work out.
yeah.
I don't think it's that I just really, really, really want this to happen. I just don't think people know how likely it is and how good competition is, I guess.
I don't think.
Is why,
I feel
I
like
mean,
is why I'm playing devil's advocate.
I just
At
feel
this
like
point-
okay, you go first, Brandon.
Alright, at this point, I think you're gonna really have to have something with either a lot of exclusives, something none of their consoles do, or do something or everything like way better than the consoles. Because why would somebody who's already a big fan of Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox move over to a Google system if there's no exclusive games they want, or if it doesn't have some kind of feature that is ridiculously better than the rest, that they want to go pay for a company that's never made a video game console before several $100s to pay for something that maybe plays the same games they already are playing? Or, I mean, like, there has to be something that's super special about this, otherwise it's not going to sell. I mean, people are
They
creatures
have to
of
stand
habit.
out.
You're creatures
They
of
have to
habit.
stand
You're going to
out.
buy, if you
That's
bought
what I said
Nintendo
earlier.
systems for a long time, you're going to keep buying Nintendo systems unless something you see otherwise is really good, or doing something that what you're currently purchasing is not doing. So if the Google Chrome or the Google console comes out and it's just like the same thing, I don't see
It's gonna fail.
the market shifting over. It's just gonna die.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's.
they need to
How
do
the
something
Switch-
different. I think they are going to do something different, though. I don't think they're that stupid, but maybe they are.
Google's innovative. Google's very
They are.
innovative.
But maybe they're selectively innovative. Maybe they're not always innovative. What if they just throw shit at the wall all the time and just hope some of it sticks? I don't
They did
pay.
actually
I
do
don't.
that with the Google Glass. That was terrible.
I mean, not every idea is gonna work. I mean, that's just the way it
Well,
works.
we figured that out with the Wii U. So yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
You know what? There will be a percentage of people that will look at something like another box, like another home box, and this is just like the Xbox or the PlayStation 4, but it's Google, new, shiny. You know, there's people that are gonna fly to that and just get it just on that alone.
Actually, you're kind of
Sure,
right.
Yeah.
Google is a
Not a big
recognizable
market.
brand.
I think in terms of marketing, Google could actually do enough to get a few million people to buy the system.
But
Now-
that's not enough.
But they need to have some games.
A few million people bought the Wii U. Over 10 million people bought the Wii U. It still was a failure.
It's
You gotta have more than a few million people who go, ooh, shiny, and then buy it.
so. What would they do that would separate them from the competition? Like, what could they do that would work? That people would want. One possibility
Okay.
is a true consumer-friendly VR system. That's one possibility.
For one, they're gonna have to take a major L with the price. I have to sell it at a huge loss.
What if it's like the Switch, but it's connected online all the time? Like, what if instead what you do, instead of paying like $300 for a system, you agree for a contract where you pay a certain amount monthly, but also includes like a little bit of a data plan. So, in conjunction with the cloud, except done right because it's Google, and it just works online all the time, and it is kind of like Switch, but it's online and it has all the Google Media stuff on top of that.
It'd be interesting.
That sounds
I
cool.
think that unlimited storage would be something they go for.
And
Yeah,
they
storage
wouldn't have
seems
a
to be a
dock.
big
They
issue
would
these
probably
days.
just have like a cable to charge it on the wall and like a little Chromecast sort of USB that through Bluetooth it connects to a television. If they want to copy the Switch, with a portable.
They could also do what Xbox is doing with like a Game Pass. Buy a couple developers, throw them on their Game Pass. Say, hey, you can only play these games now here. Pay $10 a month or whatever, or it's part of the plan. They could do that.
That's cool too.
What kind of games?
I'm just saying, if they did something crazy like what Xbox is trying to do and buy a huge developer like EA, if they wanted to, that's what I'm saying. The only way it would work is if they would come in and throw a bunch of money around. Like, I'm buying you, now you belong to me. Now, all you gamers out there, if you want to continue playing these games, you can only play them on the Google box.
Oh, the salt would be real.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I agree with Ben. In which he says, like, Nintendo was super duper innovative. I don't think you can outshine them in the console space at all when it comes to just sheer ideals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
with that.
Well, I think Google might have a shot of being better at Sony and Microsoft at innovation, though. It would be interesting.
They're just boxes.
So, but it's just okay. Here's the thing: is that Google? There's just so many hoops. You know, like you have to secure the games, right? Like, what kind of contracts will they be? They do have the money to get up some contracts. Maybe they can get some developers on board. Maybe they'll have a better shot at garnering third-party support than any other company who's new to the the space. But I still feel like because they're new, it's gonna be hard to get a lot of third parties at first as well. You know, it's just I don't know. Maybe or maybe not. Maybe they have been slowly building up support all this time, and they just it hasn't been public, and there's going to be a lot of developers on board immediately. I mean, the PlayStation, think about it, the PS1 back in the 90s, early 90s, they were securing support, and the PS1 kind of just, hit the ground running. But
it sort of fell into their lap.
Sony, but Sony was a part of the industry already. They were involved with the game industry for a few years before the PS1 came out.
Yeah.
So it's not like with Google where they don't really do anything significant in the game. I know there are like some Google Play stuff, but those are like really simple games. There's nothing like like we're not gonna hear about anything about Google at E3. You know what I mean? Like that, nothing that's praiseworthy. So that's the thing. Like, maybe they could have been garnering support, but they don't seem to have that involvement with the industry like PS1 did back in the day. And Microsoft also had involvement with the industry back in the day. I mean, there have been games coming out on Windows for a while. So it's Google doesn't have that.
That's a good point too. I still think Microsoft kind of brute forced their way into it too, though.
Right, but but like I said, they still had the whole Microsoft thing. There were games coming on Microsoft anyways. They worked with Sega for a few years before that. Google hasn't done any of it.
I mean,
and Microsoft had a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Microsoft, one of the biggest companies even then at the time, and even then it took them a year to get their online fully functioning, because they were going into the gaming space, the home console space, which was completely different. So they had to throw a lot of money around. Same thing with Google, man. And Google's not as big as Microsoft, is it? I don't think so. I'm looking at the biggest companies here, and I don't see Google in the top 10.
It's not, but it does have a lot of money. I think I looked it up earlier. It was worth $101 billion.
That puts it above Nintendo and Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so wait. So I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second because looking at the chat. So Google's bigger than Nintendo and Sony, but they're not bigger than Microsoft? Is that what you said?
No.
Oh, no, wait. Alphabet is the company behind Google. It is actually, the second largest company in the world. So it does have more money than Microsoft.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what? Yeah.
Alphabet is really big. Yeah.
Wow.
Google.
Massive.
Yeah, so they have the resources, but do they have the industry involvement? I think that's important. Do they have the vision? I don't know. They may have some. There's just a lot of hoops, so I don't think it's likely that they will succeed. Especially because it's like I said, it's not like everything we've all said. It's not like everything that Google has made is gold. Like, there's a lot of things that haven't done well. So don't just assume because it's Google, it's going to be amazing. Not necessarily, but they do have the potential.
I wonder if they would do something with VR. Like, I wonder if big push would be VR. I mean, they just came out with wireless VR, but it's in it's baby form. Like, it's like I've seen people play it. They'll be moving around and be like, why the heck is the screen all of a sudden black? I cannot see anything. Oh, there it goes. Like,
that sounds pretty cool.
There's still a bunch of problems. What?
I just don't think VR is going to be as big as people think it's going to be.
Unless Google, or Nintendo, figure out VR.
If they didn't have,
I don't think they will.
If they didn't have,
not really,
Phil Harrison, I would be completely cynical on this. Like, if they didn't have that guy, I'd be like, oh man, Google, give up. Like, I would just be like, dude, stop. You're not going anywhere.
But he's also just one man.
Yeah,
So-
but he is.
and sometimes
smart.
some
Is he like
people.
the Chuck Norris of video game industry or what?
Sort of.
I don't know.
I didn't hear him.
I think there's a chance, but I feel like if I had to bet money, I would say that Google's not going to surpass any of the three. You know, however,
Oh yeah.
I do think it's interesting that maybe there isn't really room for a fourth home console competitor, right? But maybe if Microsoft sort of continues to sort of slip away, then Google can sort of insert itself. But I don't think that's going to happen. And one of the reasons I don't think that's going to happen is, well, one, I think Microsoft has more experience and they'll figure things out. But also, there's already rumors about Microsoft buying EA, or maybe Valve, or the PUBG developer to secure more first-party games. And that is me sort of segueing over to the next topic. Because we do have to sort of move forward with this discussion.
Go ahead.
Well, that was what I was saying. That's it. That Microsoft, there are rumors of Microsoft buying EA, or even Valve, or PUBG. The PUBG, I think the name is like Blue House Studios or Anchor. I have to double check, but the PUBG developers are also amongst the rumors of developers they may purchase. What do you guys think of that? Let's just keep it simple. If Microsoft buys EA or Valve, does that fix the situation?
Yes.
Maybe if they smack EA in the face and tell them to stop being a piece of shit, then
But
that could
Microsoft
help.
is.
Well, if they buy them, they would buy like their developers and their IP, right?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is that a lot of the reason why EA is
I guess
considered
technically.
shit is because the higher ups, the businessmen, not the developers, are you're saying, oh, you need to have this and this and
Exactly.
this in the game. If Microsoft's in control, it will be run differently, for better or worse.
That-
You know,
that
it's
would-
going to be run differently.
Hopefully,
I'm
it
gonna
would.
disagree right there.
You
I'm gonna
disagree
disagree.
with what?
Mm.
Wait,
They'd probably still be as agree because Microsoft has introduced some practices to the gaming landscape.
well, I'm just confused. What are you disagreeing with?
I think he's disagreeing that they would change them.
Yeah, EA probably wouldn't change at all.
You think they'd be exactly the same?
Yeah, if not
I feel
worse.
like I don't know if
I
Microsoft
think I
that
agree with that.
stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I was just
I
saying
agree with
that.
because this is coming from the company that wanted to keep their box's current gen box online the whole entire time. I mean,
It's true.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Stupid, just like EA.
I see what you're saying. I mean, like
I
EA.
feel like
I feel like if they got EA, that wouldn't really change. That wouldn't bring in any Nintendo fans over to Microsoft. You know what I mean? But it might
I don't
sway
know,
some
man, like-
PlayStation fans. I'm
I don't
talking
know,
about
man.
like a percentage here, not like a minority where it's not even worth like tallying, but like like an actual significant ratio, like 1%, 2% over. You know, I don't see even 1% of Nintendo fans moving over to Microsoft if they buy up EA. Sony, maybe a few percentage points, of the market share going over.
I mean, I don't think that people would move over, like just drop their Switch and put it in a toilet and just
But-
get an Xbox One. But I think people would look at Microsoft and say like, oh wow, they're actually trying now, like they're actually going for it instead of just sitting there and having no new IPs for like the whole. What would they have? One game last year? One game, right? One actual large game that was first party, I think.
I know they
Anyways,
have
like
Forza for sure.
that's it. I think that's all they had.
Did Halo Wars 2 release last year or the year before?
Well, there's PUBG.
That's not a
That's not
Microsoft.
really-
well, I guess it is
Yeah,
exclusive to Xbox. It's also on PC.
They
but that's
paid
not
for
every game.
they
Yeah,
paid for the
that's-
game
that's
to
fine.
come on to be developed for Microsoft.
Yeah, it's also on PC. But now, if they also bought Valve, now that would be insane. Is there a rumor about
Yeah.
that? Because if they would,
It's
buy
included in the
Valve-
rumor.
Man.
I don't know who they would buy, but if they straight up bought EA, Valve, and the PUBG developer, like all three, like all of that, then we're talking some serious business here. Like if they bought Valve, I'd be interested in getting an Xbox. Like oh crap, and then they announced Portal 3 or Half-Life. Dude, imagine that. Like they announced Half-Life 3 at next
Yeah, but
E3
they have like
exclusive.
but they have Rare, and we don't have Conquer 2.
Yeah.
But would that mean that you would be able?
But
to
I feel
play
like they'd be buying the dev teams
on
as
your
well.
Xbox?
What?
Yeah, like if they bought Valve, would that mean that you would be able to play Steam games on your Xbox? Like just run the Steam app on your Xbox and play all the games on there.
Oh, this is
That's what
getting
I'm
crazy. This is a headache because Xbox Live sort of conflicts with that. Maybe Valve is not a part of this, or maybe they are. I don't know. Considering that,
I still wouldn't care. As long as they keep putting their games on PC, I will continue to never care or look at an Xbox again.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, though, is that any exclusive for Xbox is not really an exclusive because you can play it on PC. That's a huge problem for their first party thing. But still, I mean, it would still help. It will still help them instead of, for example, like for over PlayStation owners or Nintendo Switch owners, if you can get Portal 3 and Half-Life 3 on Xbox One and not on the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation 4, some people might buy an Xbox One who aren't necessarily PC gamers. So it'll move the dial, you know, like I think it will for sure. It'd be crazy. Okay, but
I certainly would be interested if they bought any of those, if they bought EA or Valve. And can you imagine a Game Pass? Yeah, can you imagine a Game Pass where you could play all the EA games? You know, like for just $10 a month. I mean,
I want to point out something by VC Online saying that Rare fell apart as a game developer when it was purchased by Microsoft. That's true. That's the thing. Like, Nintendo didn't fight for Rare, you know, like for a reason. Like they were headed downhill. So the Rare that was with Microsoft is not really the Rare that we remember, you know. So you can make the argument that Microsoft did not treat Rare properly, but you could also make the argument that it's not that they didn't treat them properly. They were just kind of shit to begin with once they entered their, you know, relationship with Microsoft, you know.
A lot of the core members left when they moved over to Xbox.
Yeah.
Platonic.
So and they formed Platonic. Yeah.
So the essence of Rare was gone when it was purchased up by Microsoft.
Yeah,
pretty much. It's
not
Rare anymore.
Yeah, so I don't think the same would happen. Well, maybe it would. Maybe some developers that work for EA, some key developers, like, you know, the big guys who can get jobs anywhere in Valve or whatever, be like, oh, we don't want to be a part of this company, so we're gonna take this opportunity to move elsewhere. That might happen. But so that's something to consider as well. That, you know, them buying up these companies, if it happens, it's not like they're going to straight up get the entire, like, everything. Like, I don't think it's going to be that simple. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it would be.
I mean, if you can now not play Madden, you can't play, you know, you can't play any of the EA Sports games, FIFA. Man. Only on Xbox. That's big, man.
The European crowd.
Oh wow, yeah. FIFA. If they secured FIFA as a, I'm gonna say Microsoft exclusive, right? Because it wouldn't be an Xbox exclusive. It'd still be available on PC. Like that would be huge. That would be huge. And not everyone's gonna want to have to buy a PC. They'll buy an Xbox for FIFA. Yeah.
Maybe the Xbox will sell. I mean, right now the PS4 is just destroying everyone.
And if you ask me, I feel like EA goes better with Microsoft than Valve does. Like, I feel like Valve would have a better home with Nintendo or Sony gamers. You know what I mean? I mean, its best home is Steam, obviously. But, you know, if I had to pick a console, you know, for Valve, because it's just like Microsoft, they really good at just kind of having like a lot of like the mainstream stuff. You know what I mean? Like their Xbox is known for having lots of shooters and sports games, and EA right there. You know that's EA is good at that, having shooters and sports games. Like they go really well together. So it would fit. Valve, on the other hand, like Valve is one of those things where like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, like what if Rare didn't suck on Microsoft? Oh, what if like Sega actually merged with Microsoft? Then I would be interested. Like it's one of those things that we're like, oh, those are the kind of games I like. I'm not a big fan of sports games and shooting games in general. There are exceptions, of course, but I think if anything they'll get EA.
Valve has
if they had a
Steam,
choice,
which has everything. Steam is everything. It's shooting games, it's RPGs, it's racing games. It's everything that you want to play. It's not just one. That's the thing. If they were to acquire Valve and you can play Steam games on your Xbox, you can basically play anything.
Well, okay, yeah. If they got Steam as a platform to run on an Xbox, definitely. But I don't know if they'd want to do that because that gets in the way with Xbox Live a little bit, doesn't it? Well, maybe not necessarily, but like there are some features of Xbox Live that would be kind of redundant if there was Steam available as well.
Yeah, I mean they would. I'm sure they would merge it somehow. You know, just consolidate it all somehow. But
what if they started calling it like Steam X? You know, instead of Xbox Live, they started calling it Steam X, and that's like their new like.
That's a cool name.
I should be the Phil Harrison for Microsoft. I would market them to world domination.
Hey, I'm down for them having Steam if that means that all of their games can come off of the Windows Store on PC onto Steam on PC, because the Windows Store is the worst store in the entirety of the internet. Like, why does that even exist? It's so bad. It's so slow and clunky. Games take a million years to download. So if I just download everything on Steam, I'd be good. So maybe I want this to happen. Maybe I'm just, yes, please.
Maybe. So, do we have any closing topics on the potential of Xbox, getting EA or Valve or the PUBG developers, or should we move on to our Zelda retrospective? Because we are closing in at 2 hours, so I feel like we should try to keep this discussion. That we should get into the final topic soon.
Go ahead.
We ready?
Real quick, Pop Slayer did make a good point. Said, what if they made Steam Online pay though? That would kind of suck. 'Cause Steam is free.
Oh no.
As far as playing online.
Oh, that'd be a big problem.
Yeah. There's a lot of people off.
I like my free online on my PC.
Yeah.
This is very confusing for me. This is why I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I just don't. Therefore, I think it's probably gonna happen.
Oh gosh. I feel like there would be too much backlash. People would hate Microsoft forever. The PC crowd would murder Microsoft.
Just a kind of an interesting thing. VC's is asking, what was your favorite Rare title? I really love Jet Force Gemini. I never actually played Conker's Bad Fur Day. Maybe I could stream that one day. That'd be really cool. Personally, I think my favorite Rare title is it's between Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong 64. Personally,
really, you like Donkey Kong 64 better than Banjo-Kazooie?
Well, I played Donkey Kong 64 more as a kid. I've never played Banjo.
Huh?
I've only played Banjo-Kazooie a little bit. I never owned it. I was like a kid. So like
I understand that. There's a lot of really good games like I never owned.
Killer Instinct! Oh my god.
That's a game I've never played.
What's wrong with you? Look at this. See how cool this is? It is amazing. Killer Instinct
That's like the best intro ever.
It is so badass. Oh my god. So yeah, it's between Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong 64. So
it's always funny to see what kids like what you played as a kid, because you're like everyone's parents bought people different games. So
I remember crying and screaming because my parents were gonna return Turok because it was rated M. And I was like, no, it's good. I swear it won't affect my psychology or whatever.
My parents were just like, yeah, go over there and play Halo. Little 3-year-old child, go, leave us alone.
Wow.
Go shoot people. Go shoot aliens in the face.
Go play your Nintendo.
Yeah. So, yeah, for me, Killer Instinct. You played that OST. It's just so hype. Oh god, I love it.
It is.
I really wish. I mean, there was a Killer Instinct on Xbox One. That at the beginning when Xbox One was first coming out, like there were some games that they were showing off that had me really interested. One of them was Killer Instinct. Another one was that game that looked a lot like Panzer Dragoon, I think. It was like a spiritual successor to it, which apparently it sucked, so it didn't even matter. But it's just one of those things where like Microsoft has some pretty quality IP already, but they're not. I don't think they're taking advantage of it.
And they're not, and they failed on a few of them, like that Recore game. That I was hyped for that because it was from the makers of Metroid Prime.
Right. I mean, Banjo-Kazooie was a
that
flop
looked good,
as well.
and it was just kind of just failed.
Banjo-Kazooie was so bad on Xbox. Like that was a huge opportunity. It was a huge opportunity to really bring in a lot of fans, and they just sucked. Like, it was like the worst thing they could have done to Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie, who drives around with the cars. So fun.
Well, I've looked into some of the development. Apparently, I think development shifted halfway through, because like a lot of the world are very like Banjo-Kazooie-like, but it's just like, oh, we have this entire world, it's like the way we want it, but for whatever reason they just change it to cars or something. So there might have been some shift with like the people who were in charge, saying, oh, you know what, having cars and explosions makes more sense than having someone jumping around. We probably can't even make a good game of someone jumping around collecting stuff.
What I hate like about that game mostly is that like it has like this sort of meta commentary on the whole 3D platformer genre. Like when they're trying to collect stuff like in a race or whatever, like the robot guy is like, man, no one likes this stuff. Who likes this type of gameplay? And I'm just sitting here like, I like that type of gameplay. What is this?
I know. Okay. It's crazy. I want to give Yooka-Laylee a try on the Switch. Apparently Yooka-Laylee on the Switch is actually done pretty well. They fixed a lot of stuff. I would like to give that game a try. It's just I would like Rare to be Rare, but unfortunately Rare doesn't exist in the way it used to be in the 90s. Man, what a good time.
Playtonic is pretty close.
No,
I think their problem is
it's not.
Well, I think their problem is that they're too small of a team trying to do too big of a project. Like, they have all these ambitions, and they're just trying... They need a larger group to buy them out so that they can fully realize their ideas.
I would love it if Nintendo were to buy Playtonic. That would be amazing. Imagine if the creativity and the design style of Playtonic, of old Rare, was owned by Nintendo. Like, that would be something, and that they could turn them into something special. It would take time because they would have to build up, teach, but they could make it something special. I don't think they would make them that big, because look at Retro Studios. Retro Studios is not a replacement for Rare. A lot of people sort of talk about how Rare was a replacement. I mean, Retro Studios was a replacement for Rare. Not entirely, because Retro Studios has come out with like 4 or 5 games in the last almost
they don't feel
20 years.
Like Rare.
And just in terms, no, like Rare, it's not even just quality of game or style of game, it's quantity of game. Rare came out with like 2 or 3 good games a year, at least. So they were a big developer. They made multiple games at once. Retro Studios makes half a game at once. Like, if even, because apparently they haven't made a game since... Well, if you count Tropical Freeze, but then before that, they worked on Mario Kart 7, which they didn't really develop. They made Trilogy, which wasn't really a game, which was a compilation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And now the rumor is that they're making something that's not a gaming experience, but also they might be making Donkey Kong, which they already made. I don't know. It's Retro Studios is confusing. Maybe we'll have a focused discussion talking about what exactly Retro Studios is working on next week. But for now,
let's drive up to their place.
I actually had an idea the other day, a video idea, Brandon, where I would like have you insert yourself into Retro Studios, and I'd be watching for you, just like being your eyes and ears, right? And we can make it like a skit, but that'd be insane. It would require effort and time and money, but it'd be cool.
It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Someone would, play as Kimishima and blow you guys to smithereens, though.
Well, that's why Brandon would be doing it. I'd just be the eyes and ears. Like he's the guinea pig. So.
Oh gosh.
Hey, it's not my fault. You're the one in Texas. If I was the one in Texas, I could
drive up there and like sneak around the gate.
Yeah. So let's talk about Zelda, because I want to end this. It's not that I want to end this discussion, but it's getting late and it's long. So.
See, that's where you falter. You say, "I want to end the discussion soon. Let's talk about Zelda." These are all the wrong words.
You can't.
So welcome to the Breath of the Wild retrospective, everyone. Maybe we could talk about this for 15, 20, 30 minutes. I want to keep this discussion under 2 hours and a half. But just a fun fact, the last 2 weeks before this, the podcast got cut off at 1 hour and 9 minutes because the power went out. My theory is that the lady on the other side is like cut off the circuitry because we share a wall. So I plugged in everything to the other side of the wall, and there's been no hiccups. So, yeah, theory confirmed. But yeah, this one's a little longer, guys. But there won't be one tomorrow, so you know that's kind of like I guess the balance here. But anyways, I don't know what is there to say about Breath of the Wild. There's so much, you know. It's an amazing game, and development for the next game is already on its way. We know nothing about it, except that it probably will also be open world. What were you saying, Will?
Breath of the Wild was very much a template, I feel like, for the next Zelda games to come, and I find that mind-blowing because it's already a super good game, and they're just testing the waters. Like, they just said, hey man, this is what the rest of the Zeldas are going to look like. Now we can build upon this. So I feel like
definitely
that's only gets better.
That's the crazy thing about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is so good, but the thing is that like people are like, oh, but they could have had this, they could have had this, they could have had this. But Breath of the Wild is still better than like everything else, and we see so many ways it could be even better. You know, like now they have the engine, they could add in more villagers, more side quests. They could create more of a focused story, but still have that open world exploration. It would be amazing for them to do everything right. Like every Zelda game that comes around, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the best game ever. But there's always something like, you know, they could have done things improved. They could have done things slightly different with this one, but like, it's like the ideal Zelda, despite all the things they could have added. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Andy?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like you can't, when it comes to anything, art, video games, movies, books, you know, you can't say something is perfect. Like everybody that says, oh, it doesn't deserve it, all these tens because there's no such thing as perfection. Of course there is, and it's all subjective. Like you know what I mean? No one's gonna make a game where everybody in unison says like this game was the best game ever made. It's never gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, humanity will end before that happens. Like, and that's the thing. Like to me, it is the closest you can get to making a game that's a complete experience. You know, like to me, it is the best game ever made. Like of all time. It is just it's that good. You know, just because it's like if you play it the way that it's intended, you will have a great experience, like 99.9% of the time. Like I don't understand some of these. Like I read a lot of like on threads and stuff, and all this like criticism towards it, and I'm just like, are we playing the same game? Like, what are you guys playing? Because this, to me, it's you can't go wrong with Breath of the Wild, man. It's like I don't know what it is. If like maybe people like try to like rush through it. Is that what it is? I mean, did you guys have an issue with it? Like I absolutely love every minute that I'm in that world. Like even when I'm getting rained on. Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, what's a good video game if it doesn't give you some kind of difficulty?
So what's
kind of like stress, you know?
So what's interesting for me, or I think it's worth noting, is that I literally was playing Zelda like 2 days ago. I wanted to record some gameplay because I'm working on a timeline video, but I just got lost. Like I only wanted to record like 10 minutes, and I ended up recording like over an hour of gameplay, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like at first I saw a Lionel, then a dragon came up from over the hill, and I was like, oh my god, it's so close and epic, and just like finding all these different things. And I was still like, I still found like stuff. I still found new stuff. I still found some Korok seeds. I still found another like field boss. Like I found another giant rock monster like by Hyrule Castle, and I thought I had covered that, but I was looking at the castle because I wanted to get like footage of the castle, and then I hear the music like and like this giant rock monster is like right behind me. Like oh damn! And it's like the platform was small too, so it's actually kind of like a hard fight, which is interesting because like you know there's so many different things with Breath of the Wild like that are remixed constantly that forced you to go at something slightly differently, even though you sort of saw it before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Like, have you guys tried to fill your compendium up at all?
The Hyrule Compendium? No, I haven't done that.
That's what I'm doing now, man.
Just
and that's
taking
a lot
pictures
of
of
fun.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm literally, I was driving the other day in real life, like not on a horse. Like I was driving in real, and I look at my wife. I'm like, oh, is it? Wait, what am I doing? Like I looked at a bird, and I'm like, oh, I gotta take my camera out, because that's how it is in the game. I've been playing way too much Breath of the Wild,
man.
trying to take pictures of real birds here.
That's amazing.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
I should do that soon. That'd be kind of an interesting idea, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is,
I did that
To me-
for a little while.
To me, it's like Pokemon Snap. It's like a Pokemon Snap. It's the best Pokemon Snap game ever made, and it's inside a Breath of the Wild.
you know,
It's.
you go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say something real quick. I was like, I swear that my library has like this really suspicious looking rock, and I'm like, there's got to be a Korok under there. I need another seed and stuff like that. But I'm like, man, Breath of the Wild it's like Zelda-itis, like on crack.
It really is. I'm seeing Triforce signs. I'm seeing Triforce everywhere.
Except that's the thing about Breath of the Wild. You can't actually find the Triforce throughout the game. So for the record, some people haven't played through the DLC too, so let's try not to spoil anything about that.
I haven't.
So, but have you guys seen any like proof of the Triforce in Breath of the Wild, excluding the very end of the game?
Have you seen what? Wait, say that
The
again.
Triforce.
No.
The actual Triforce. Like, it's nowhere to be found in Breath of the Wild. Like, normally, you know, in every Zelda game, like, there's three pieces, you know, one from Link, one from Ganon, and one from Zelda, and it looks like in this one, Zelda has all of it. Maybe. Like, 'cause you see the Triforce right at the end when she, destroys Calamity Ganon. Like...
I mean...
It's just weird, you know?
It sort of makes sense. Like, in a strange way, the Triforce being, like, not representing that much in Breath of the Wild sort of makes sense, because, like, when you see the goddess Hylia statues, they're, you know, usually very isolated, and, like, the most sacred areas of the games, like, don't really have any NPCs there or anything. So maybe there's something that happened to where they're like, oh,
maybe
man,
everywhere she prayed, she obtained a different piece of the Triforce without realizing it. Because there are three. You have the one for wisdom, courage, and power. The three different ones, you know. One like you have Nehru, Pharaoh, and Din. Or, you know, whatever fountain that sort of represents that god. So that's a possibility that she obtained the power when she prayed there, but there was no obvious proof of it.
No, I mean, I was talking about just the people, because usually in Zelda games, people wear ornaments of the Triforce, but here, no one even like mentions the goddess Hylia except the monks that usually appear after you finish a shrine or something like that.
So
It's pretty true.
I just saw Son Gohan's complimenting us a little bit. He says unfortunately many famous YouTubers out there like Game Attack and Downward Thrust are speaking garbage of Breath of the Wild, which is one of the reasons why he tends to follow more real gamers like us. Thanks, man. You know, also VC Online is asking us what our favorite Breath of the Wild activity is. He says he likes to shield surf down Lanayru Mountain. I love surfing. It is the coolest thing. But you know, when I was trying to record some gameplay the other day, like I said, I went to the desert and I was like, oh, I can use my motorcycle here. This will be so cool. And unfortunately, one of the few disappointments is that you can't use the motorcycle in the sand. Yeah, you can't.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, right?
dang
It's
it.
weird.
That's
I love one of my favorite activities.
Well, for the record, let me
It's
finish.
because it's a jet ski.
I didn't finish, but I'll let you go. Oh, jet ski would be awesome. I then just started to surf, and I was like, oh, I don't really need a motorcycle because I can surf through the sand dunes. But what were you saying, Will?
Oh, I'll let you finish.
That was it. I just wanted to say that I love surfing. I don't know if that's my favorite activity, but it's up there. Like I wasn't able to use a motorcycle, but I was able to surf through the sand dunes instead, and I was still able to go pretty fast, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. One of my favorite activities, like in the whole entire game, is just letting go of the Switch and just seeing where my horse takes me, and just like turning the camera and just looking at the world, because the horse just automatically follows a path depending on how close you are with it.
I love doing that too. Actually,
cool. I've never done that.
I love it so much.
Do you guys know how? I don't know how to do this, but I've seen some YouTubers where they can lock on to like a Guardian, for example, and have the camera zoom out like a few hundred feet. So you can see this huge, it's like super zoomed out. Do you guys know how to do that?
No, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I was fighting a Guardian and the Hinox, and it did that by accident.
Yeah, so it's really
That's the
cool.
one thing I wish it did have is a zoom out button, the camera. If I could change one thing, just one thing in Breath of the Wild, that's it.
Sinner.
Just a zoom out.
Oh, man, I'm imagining you in flames as we speak. How dare you? Like, yeah. That's one thing they could do, add like sort of a zoom out thing. But apparently, I think it's in the game. We just don't know how to do it. Like some advanced Zelda people can do it, I guess.
But I mean, the only reason I say that is to enjoy more of the world. It's not because it's a bad camera angle. I just want to see more of it.
Yeah,
it.
And for me, like as I play, I rarely press center camera. Like for me, as I move around, I'm like constantly moving the camera as I go to get different like perspectives on what I'm seeing. I'm always moving the camera around at different angles just to see different stuff because the world is so beautiful. Like that's just one of the things. Whenever I go back to the game, like it's weird because sometimes I think about the game, I'm like, oh yeah, some of the textures are kind of bland. Sometimes I think that, like I actually think that, but when I go into the game, I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing. Oh my god, this is so pretty. It's like, oh, look at all these grass blades. Like, oh, look at all these flowers. Oh, look at the sky. Oh, look at these rocks. Like, it's just like the entire environment is just so beautifully crafted, because it's not like, oh, we're just going to auto-generate a world. Like, this, like, every little hill, everything was put there by design in a very artistic kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, they put a lot of thought into every square inch of Hyrule, which is really special.
Man.
And it shows. It's just cool. Like, I have fun just running around.
You play something like Skyrim, which I did, and I played like 40-something hours, and it's so bland by comparison, man. Like, it's a cool world. It's big, and it's a nice-looking world. It really is. But man, in comparison to Breath of the Wild, there's really. I mean, I played World of Warcraft. I played other MMOs. Xenoblade Chronicles X. This is the most impressive game world ever made in Breath of the Wild. And I thought Chronicles X was the best until then. This is even more impressive than that. Just the fact that there's no loading screens. You could just walk from one end to the map all the way to the other. It's amazing.
Right, and it's not even just that you can walk. It's the elevation. Right, you can go up and down. Like it's kind of like one of those things. Like for most games, right, even when they're open world, it's like a flat map. Maybe like when I say flat map, like it can go up and down, but you don't like go up and down and then under, right? Like most games you can't really do that. And if you do, it's in limited spaces. For Breath of the Wild, when they envision the map, they don't envision the map as like a giant square. They envision it as a giant cube. You know what I mean? Like you can go everywhere within this giant cube that spans miles in every direction, which is just crazy. It's so crazy the way it's done. The world feels very natural, but also I do like. There's just some cool stuff that I've heard that was in the like. Have you guys seen some of the developer interviews? And they showed some different images. One of which was like a town of like the Minish Cap people.
Yes! Oh my gosh! I saw that, man.
I was like, why isn't that in the game? Yeah.
Crazy.
I would have loved to have had that.
It'd been so cool.
Yeah. And so that's kind of...
Maybe for the next Zelda or maybe future DLC?
I don't think there's gonna be any more DLC though, because
Yeah, they already said there's not gonna be any more.
Yeah.
except they might still do it
We'll see,
anyways.
man. They can make that
That
money.
would have been cool.
But I mean, as we said, like they can stand on the shoulders of giants. What they accomplished with Breath of the Wild is a huge accomplishment, and they can really add to it. So, like for me, like it's one of those things. Like as good as Breath of the Wild is, I want more. I'm not I'm not like, oh, okay, I'm done. I don't need any more Zelda. I never feel like, oh, this is too much for me. You know, I never feel tired of playing the game. I want more. I want more story. I want more side quests. I want more characters. And like, well, I would have loved it if there were diminished people. Like. There's there's more villagers in this game that make sense than any other Zelda game. Like every person is accounted for. Like I don't know if you ever play other video games and you're like, oh, does this world make sense? Like we go to a town and you actually see, oh, where does this person sleep? Where does this person sleep? Where does this person eat? Like in Breath of the Wild they have that. Like even for the Zora, like, oh, there's no place for the Zora to sleep. Actually there is. They have like these little fountains in the back where they sleep in the water. Like it makes so much sense. So all the towns in the game, like they're the most fleshed out towns we've ever seen, like overall for a Zelda game. But I still want more, right? Like overall, Breath of the Wild is not meant to be a highly populated game. I get it, but it would be so cool to see Hyrule as if it was populated. You know, like to go into that castle town before it was destroyed, to see all these different villagers, to see the diminished people. Like I would love if the next Zelda game, really, it would have been awesome to see a fully fleshed out, living, breathing, not dead ancient Hyrule, you know? Like, maybe the next game they'll focus more on that, especially now that they've made Breath of the Wild. They can kind of develop on top of that, and that'd be really special.
I mean, I do want to see it, and as much as I do want to see, like, you know, play in like in a little Minish town, as much as I want that. Dude, I seriously have not. I played 250 hours. I have not found all the shrines. Like I've not found over 200. Not even reached 200 Korok seeds. You know, it's because I'm doing it all. Like I don't want to look up any kind of help online. I'm doing it all naturally. Like, you know, just playing the game, just trying to find him. You know, like not trying to look up stuff to try to find him. I'm not saying that anybody else has, but I'm saying like I'm just taking my time.
Well. What I did, I did look. I intentionally tried to find all the shrines. You know, I didn't look up online. I did not do look up online. I did it within I used the game tools, like, you know, the Shrine Seeker and stuff. But it took me a while, man. I literally scaled Hyrule like there and back multiple times, and I could not find it. And eventually, I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean. There is a shrine in a place around the middle of the map that it's just one of those things where like it was hiding in plain sight. And I looked, you know, I went through everything. I didn't see it, but you know, it's just one of those things where like I never thought to go there. That one place that in retrospect was highly obvious, but I literally spent maybe 20, 30, 40 hours just looking for one shrine. But I found it. So I'm good.
And it's funny because it doesn't feel like it's a wasted effort. Like while you're looking for that shrine,
it's always an experience.
Little intricacies about the game, and that's part of what makes Breath of the Wild so special.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like anything you collect in the game. I mean, like butterflies and like. You know, anything in the game, it is useful. It is incredibly useful, especially when you're upgrading your armor. You know, different kinds of armor. You get different sets. You want to see what they do when you upgrade them into level 2. You know, it's just so much to do in that game.
Yeah, it's crazy. So let me go to the comments because some people are talking. They're bringing up some pretty interesting moments. So let me see. Like some go on saying, "Have any of you taken a selfie while fighting a Hinox?" Wow.
Oh,
well,
nice.
A Hinox is doable because they're slow-ish, but imagine taking a selfie with a Lionel when you're not wearing the mask. That would be pretty challenging. That'd be pretty cool.
When it's charging at you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like right when it's charging at you. That'd be awesome. Like right before it hits you with the horns.
It's like, hey, man, say cheese. Ooh.
That'd be an interesting picture, actually. I want to do that now. VC says he likes to use magnesis with a treasure chest against a raft to turn the raft into a speedboat. Yeah, so like there's a trick where if you get a metal object, usually a chest, you can push it against the raft and it will start going really, really fast, like as if it had a motor, like if it was a motorboat. Have any of you guys tried that before?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've talked about
this.
it. I feel like I've talked about it with one of you guys before.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah. A long
That's
time
another
ago,
thing.
Yeah.
Like, the engine is so versatile. Like, I see these crazy things that the developer never intended for people to do with the game, and it's just great.
I'm still seeing videos. I'm still seeing videos of that. Like, I saw this one random video of someone who cut a tree and put it in stasis and used it as a staircase. They used it as, I think they, if I remember correctly, used it as a staircase to get up.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I love about like the physics engine in this game is amazing. Which I love the shrines have physics-based puzzles because there's so many different ways to solve a shrine. Like in the other games, when you went to a dungeon, I mean, there's one way to beat the dungeon. You go and you find essentially something that acts as a key, and then you put it in the lock or whatever. And I mean, there's different ways to solve a puzzle, but there's just one. Like, and the other one is just one. Like, you did the thing, you're good. You go. Like in Zelda Breath of the Wild, like there's so many different ways you could glitch things and just use the physics engine to your advantage to just kind of solve it in ways that the developers didn't even intend. Just force your way into solving things, and you can get super creative with the ways you solve things. Like every time I talk to somebody about how they did like a certain shrine, it would be like, I didn't even think about that. I did this complete other different thing with completely other different parts of the shrine, and I got through it. Like it's crazy how many different ways you can complete the puzzles in this game.
Yeah, and like the game, it gives you the sense that the way you did it was like the definitive way. It makes your experience feel so decisive, and it's like the way it actually juggles all of these things and at the same time takes it all in stride is incredible.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're breaking the game or anything. You don't feel like, oh, I'm cheating and I'm completely destroying the game and hacking my way through. You just feel like, oh, that's like I solved the puzzle legitimately, but it was in a creative way.
You go first, Andy.
Sorry.
No,
it's also just how beautiful the game looks. You know what I mean? Like there's certain parts where like the sunlight hits the grass and the way it's blowing. It's like it's incredible looking. And people are like, oh yeah, it's like it's a Wii U game. It's like I want to see another Xbox One or PS4, not just to single them out, but any other game look like that.
Yeah.
Like you don't see it.
Have you seen like a big body of water like while the sun was setting? Like that looks absolutely gorgeous. Like
it's insane.
It's just like I remember when the game first came out, I was trying to explain to people what was so amazing about Breath of the Wild. Like, oh, this game's like the true evolution for open world games. Like oh, it's like what can you do? What's so great about the world? Like, well, that's the thing. It's the world that makes the game special. Because there's so much going on, and it's done in such a beautiful, comfortable way. Like, there's always... it feels organic. The world reacts to you. It's reactive. There are things changing, like the water, right? Or, like, you know, you can cut trees, or the trees will move down. There'll be wind blowing. There'll be a butterfly that could potentially die if a tree falls on top of it. That can happen. You know, these are things that will never happen in another game, unless that was, like, the one thing they designed for. Breath of the Wild has hundreds, maybe thousands of those little things spread throughout the world, you know? Thousands. It could be even tens of thousands, which seems kind of insane to think about. But they had a huge team, and they worked on it for years for a reason. You know, they really tried to craft this organic feeling world, and they succeeded.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, well, Breath of the Wild is an amazingly beautiful game. Like, I'm never going to say that game is nothing short of breathtaking. Puns. But it could look even better. The initial trailer they revealed actually has a lot of significant graphical upgrades that look a lot better than what actually came out in Breath of the Wild. So if they enhance the engine, maybe if you use the version of the engine they used for that first trailer in another, big open world Breath of the Wild game, like Breath of the Wild type game, they could make the game look even more beautiful, like even just more just drop dead gorgeous. Which is crazy to think about because that game just blows my mind when I see some of the stuff. I'm just like, and you see all the physics and stuff working and things moving, like the grass moving with the wind the way it should, and you running through it and it moving around your legs, and like you just see this stuff, and I'm just like, I play an Xbox game and I walk across a puddle of water and it's like it's glass. And I'm just like, that looks really pretty, but there's nothing happening here. There's like this really crappy like splash effect that they put underneath your feet, and that's it. And it's just like, what? Okay, why?
Yeah,
it feels like real. It feels real. It feels like you're actually there, making things happen.
Tiny,
like
traffic.
Just walking around feels good. Like because they put a lot of different like sound effects in as you hear like the little tip tap and pat. Like it's just like it feels good to just listen to yourself run or walk. Like there's that much attention to the sound design.
His feet crunch in the grass in snow. Like
they hired specific sound designer people who are I forgot exactly, like they worked with animals and stuff to specifically give every animal in the game like a really realistic sound effect. And they like timed, they even worked like they said they worked like specifically on the timing of when you would hear the sound of the horse hooves on the ground compared to when you're seeing it in game. Like they think of all these things that you wouldn't think about necessarily, and it's just insane. Like even the way like animals work was designed by an animal specialist. Like
every detail.
It's crazy.
Every single detail of this game. One of the things I saw the other day, someone posted something that said like why can't they just make a new Zelda in like 2 or 3 years? They already have the engine, they already have this. Yes, I agree with that. But it's also like someone rebutted with, yeah, but that time doesn't include playtesting, which Breath of the Wild had. And I think that's the difference is you can plan and make something so grand and so great, but it's a different story when millions of people start playing it and find little details that get lost along the way, or like little minor things that don't look as good when the grand scope. And that's what Breath of the Wild had, is all that playtime, playtesting. Nintendo did so much playtesting of Breath of the Wild, and it shows, man, because you, like we talked about earlier, barely any glitches. I mean, everything plays so smoothly, the way you expect it to play. And I think that's due to the playtest time.
So what's interesting, I'll go and then you go. I just want to say something first. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the interviews, but there was an interview where they talked about how they developed, Breath of the Wild, and what they did was that they would play the game for like a week. They would take a break from development, and they just played. Everyone in the team would play the game. They would play the game for a little while and explore it and find different things. And then after that, they would all come together and talk about it. And like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, what if we put this in there? Oh, we could add that. Oh, but this happened. And then they went and they put it in. And then they would take another break, play through the game, and come back, talk about it, address those potential changes, and just rinse and repeat repeatedly. They kept on doing that. And that's how they built this game. And like, part of that kind of, I think, helped the playtesting because the developers were constantly playtesting themselves, which is not something I think is normal for the development of games. Like, I'm sure they had a dedicated playtesting team as well, but the developers would go back and take multiple like periods throughout the development process to just play the game, nothing else, and then talk about it, which is really cool, I think it kind of shows like that very unique development style. It shows in what Breath of the Wild is, because they thought about what was fun. They didn't think about, oh, this is gonna sell. Oh, this is what the numbers are trending for. We should put cars and explosions instead of platforming. Like they just thought about, oh, this would be really cool if you could get up there. right? And if you got up there, oh, how would you get down? Oh, it'd be really fun if you could sail down. Like they thought of it like that. Like, what would be fun to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they built Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To go off what Colloco was saying earlier about the playtesting, I still think they could get out another 3D Zelda game a lot quicker than Breath of the Wild because of their experience with these playtesting, their experience with getting the engine working and stuff. That makes you move a lot faster. I mean, when you have the physics engine there, engines take so long. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the bulk of making a game,
the majority of development time
engine,
is the engine.
Yeah, it's insane. It can take 2-3 years to fully finish an engine. Like, I think they could shave a good 2 to 3 years off of the development for Breath of the Wild, which was about 5.5 years. So I think they could get another Zelda game out in about 3 years. Especially, I mean, all this attention to detail, which made Zelda great, is already there. Already how all the animals are programmed, how Link interacts with the world, how everything works is there. So there's a lot less of that needed. So you can go a lot quicker when you don't have to worry about
Definitely.
that kind of stuff.
I don't disagree, but I would like to see.
I don't
another
expect
Breath
it
of
in
the Wild
2019.
repackage. Yeah,
No.
but like to see another Breath of the Wild repackage, let's say like a Majora's Mask, like to Ocarina of Time. I much rather see them add new elements, update the graphics, maybe add new stuff, with a physics engine where they do have to play test and take a little bit longer and just blow us all away again. Like Sun Gohan said in the chat, like, what about the underwater parts? Like there I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's some, like, you look in some of the like the sea parts and you look in the water and it looks amazing. You're like, I want to jump in there. I want to be in there. Like,
You can't go underwater.
I hope they add stuff like that.
Which is
And
really
I don't
weird,
think it
actually.
takes a little longer, man.
I just realized that, Andy. You may realize it. Like, you can fly. You can reach. You can try. You can almost go into space in Breath of the Wild, right? But you can't go underwater. That's just like a random thing. Like you can put things in water, but you can't go in yourself. So yeah, that's one of many things they could do to really add to the next game. But like I agree with you that I want to be blown away. I want something that's even bigger than Breath of the Wild, even better. I want something that takes like you said earlier on. There is no such thing as true perfection, right? But I want another game that is just gonna everything that Breath of the Wild was. I want them to take it to another level. Make a better story. Find a way to have this beautiful open world, but also a cohesive story that carries you. But also have even more side quests, even more villagers that are fun. Not just, oh, we're gonna have lots of side quests. Like not like a number, like something that adds to the game. On a deeper level, and just like creating even more interesting gameplay possibilities. Like maybe I'm not saying they should bring back runes, but if they hypothetically did bring back runes, what other kind of runes could they have that would add a whole other crazy layer to maneuvering and controlling the world? So there's so much different things they could do. I do not, of course, I always want Zelda, but I would like them to not rush out like a Majora's Mask like a thing. I do think they should use the engine, but take even more time to make it even better, to grow it even more, as opposed to pumping out another Zelda game by March 2019. Like I would maybe 2020 or at least 2019 holiday, which would be that'd be 2.5 years. So maybe I could wait till 2020, to be honest.
I don't see another 3D Zelda game till late. Like, it's got to be holiday 2020 or holiday 2021. I'm leaning towards holiday 2021.
I think we're going to see...
As you said, you're making great points. Like, there's still so many more things they could do. They could add... Just adding one more rune that interacts with the world would just
change
add
everything.
So many... It would change everything. It would change the whole balance of the game. Everything would be affected. You'd have to do so much more playtesting. So, yeah, I understand. That's a very good point. I think for me, if they just add a few more of those physics-based elements, like more runes, add some underwater mechanics, and flesh out the world. I want a world like Breath of the Wild thematically for the story. It made sense. It was convenient at the fact that there was not that many people, not that many towns. And I think part of the reason may have been just because it took so long to play test and get all of these physics working that they didn't have as much time to focus on towns and stuff. So if they have more time, focus on making a big, very lived-in world with all these different towns, all these crazy locations you can go to. Because that's one of the biggest things I like in open world games, is just going and finding something that I go, oh, dang, that looks so cool. This area is so cool, and going and exploring it. And then I'm like, I want to see what other cool locations are in it, which I think Breath of the Wild lacked in a little bit because there weren't that many different locations and towns and stuff. And then just make a story, just like a really, really good story. Because Breath of the Wild promised this amazing story, and then it kind of just dumps everything onto you in the first like hour or two, and then like nothing comes of the story. So if they can make a much better story, flesh out the world with more towns, add some more physics-based things like more runes, and then just add some like underwater sections and stuff like that, I think that would be good enough for a sequel, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't think it. I mean, if you want more story, that's fine. But I don't think Zelda's ever been about the story. I think it's always been about exploration and puzzles and combat. But I mean, I mean, I could see it having a better story. I think it might be setting it up to maybe the next one have a more deeper, maybe they're heading that way. But like, I didn't think I needed any more of the story than I got in this game. But yeah, I could see that happening too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I like we said, no game is perfect. I think Breath of the Wild story is good considering the open world focus. But now that they've sort of mastered the open world, finding a way to incorporate a more engaging story like Skyward Sword would be really good. And the thing about Breath of the Wild, it's not so much that I don't like the story, it's that I wanted to learn even more about these characters, and I feel like I didn't learn enough about them. I feel like we hear about these characters from a game that already happened. You know what I mean? It's like you're living in the post game, in a way.
Yeah, it does feel like that a lot.
But that was part of the reason why that was done, is to sort of build a story that would work within the context of this game, within the style of this game, to encourage the exploration, which I approve of. But I would love to see them find a way to, integrate the story that doesn't take away from the open world, but adds to it, but make it deeper. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of like this is why Zelda is my favorite franchise. It's my favorite series of all time, because even with how amazing Breath of the Wild is, it's one of the best games of all time. Personally, I don't think it's my favorite game of all time, but I do think it's one of the best crafted games of all time. It's up there. I think it's probably my top 3.
Well, it's one of those games that has raised the bar, Now that we've played Breath of the Wild, it's hard to go back to other open world games. Like, I didn't finish Horizon Zero Dawn. Maybe I'll still go back to it. I did have fun with it, but it felt limited. Like, I also was playing Metal Gear Solid 5, and these games are good. They're great games, but there's something about them that's just like, oh, I can't do this, oh, I can't do that. Breath of the Wild feels so liberating by comparison. Yeah. It raised the bar, and now future open world games, if they want to even hold a candle to Breath of the Wild, they're going to have to make them a lot more organic feeling, a lot more interactive, a lot more dynamic. And that's something that, well, it's going to cost a lot more money and time, but it's going to make games better. And that's awesome that Nintendo was able to do that.
Even though it's so great, I still see so many areas that it can improve. There's a lot of series that I look in, and I'm just like, that series feels like it's done. Like, I do not have any clue what could make Call of Duty, for
better.
Example, a better game, or just like some crazy, amazing new thing that they could do with that game to make it better.
Yeah.
Zelda Breath of the Wild, I mean, you give me 2-3 hours, I'll just go on talking about how I think the game could be better. Like, there's just so many more possibilities.
Right, it's like they're scratching the surface. That's the crazy thing about Breath of the Wild, is that even though it's the game of the year and it's raised the bar, and just kind of hard to go back to other open world games, it's scratching the surface. There's still so much more that it could become even greater.
Exactly.
But
Exactly my point.
you know, it's hard for. I'm gonna kind of like. I think it's time to end the discussion because there's so much we could talk about. You know, maybe we'll have to have another Breath of the Wild retrospective in a few months. But it's I think we're gonna remember this game fondly. I think it's one of those games that's gonna hold up well over time, and it is the beginning of even greater things. And you know, not every Zelda game you were able to say that. You know, like this is one of those games that you beat it and you're not sad. You're like, oh, I can continue playing and still have fun with it. Or you're excited about the possibilities, I feel like. Personally, that's how I feel about it. So, yeah, there's never enough to say about this game. So, you know, that's how I'm going to end this. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
Gohan said, with the bike and many tech in Breath of the Wild, is Breath of the Wild preparing us for a futuristic Zelda? Like Link stuck in our era in a time shift. That's kind of interesting.
I don't I like that idea, but I wouldn't necessarily like I wouldn't want to see like Link in Manhattan.
Maybe not in like in
But like a dystopian, like a futuristic world, it would be interesting.
yeah.
Maybe.
Sci-fi element.
I would miss Epona, but Epona doesn't have to be in every game. Although technically, it's fine.
I would not like that. I feel like maybe like I like having tech in Breath of the Wild, but like full futuristic.
What I like about
you have to have a wilderness. There has to be nature.
I want it to be a combination of sci-fi and medieval, right at the same time.
The idea that they had with the aliens invading, that looked really cool.
Yeah.
But maybe they could have both, though. What if there's some sort of... See, here's a crazy thing about Breath of the Wild. Like, you know how there's ruins everywhere, and there are rumors about time travel in the game? Like, what if that was actually a talked about mechanic? But can you imagine how crazy it would be to flip between two times? The amount of change that would you have to create essentially two open worlds.
That would be very cool.
But you have to create two open worlds that would be cohesive with each other. That's one thing they could do in the next game. What if there was time travel? What if that was like their big gimmick added on top of everything else? But it's
Add it on to this existing world.
That's what I was hoping for.
Maybe.
Me and Andres had a lot of discussions on what the DLC should be, and none of it came true.
Yeah.
It was fairly disappointing, but we had our hopes way too high. I mean, we always knew that it was
good.
fairly unrealistic.
They surprised me in a lot of ways, though.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
I feel like the DLC in this game in general can be summed up by the fact that they all promise story, and it's 95% no story. I'd say less than that. It's
Okay. So
like the story DLC is 95% not story.
touche.
That just sums up my thoughts on the story of this game.
Well, I see what you're saying. I enjoyed what I got. I like learning more about the characters. There's some more character interactions. There wasn't just some cutscenes. And there's a lot of interesting gameplay. Yeah, it was more gameplay than the story. I agree with that. But, you know, do you have any final thoughts? I mean, we're going to talk about Breath of the Wild in the future. We probably will. It's Breath of the Wild, you know. I want to kind of end the discussion. There's some things in the chat I want to get to. But is there anything else you guys have to say about Breath of the Wild? Just for the night, because we're really need to end the discussion soon.
Greatest game I ever made.
Okay.
Greatest game ever made.
Agreed.
I guess for my final thoughts, it is both one of my favorite games that's ever been made, and
What is your favorite game? I have to know now.
Wind Waker. Wind Waker is my favorite game.
Get out. Get out right now. Get out of your house.
Jump inside your painting.
How dare you? You see these Wind Waker back here? You see that? No. Yeah. Wind Waker is my favorite game. Mostly because nostalgia. To be honest here.
Yeah.
But it's both one of the best games of all time and one of my biggest... And it has some of the biggest disappointments of all time for me. It's this weird mishmash.
And you are what the Zelda fan base is. Incredibly hard to appease.
Oh no, I'm appeased.
Oh, well, that's the thing. That's how good Breath of the Wild is. You were still somehow satisfied, even though you have the highest standard.
The weird thing is, I was 100% satisfied and 100% disappointed at the same time. is the weirdest. I've never had that experience with a game before where I was 100% like, this is the best game ever, and 100% like, why isn't this also?
Yeah, it looks like Will.
Those are my final thoughts.
Will's computer crashed, so I'm not sure if he's here. Will, you still here?
He's here now.
Will?
Will.
Will? Can you hear us? All right.
R.I.P. May he rest in peace.
Well, yeah.
I said R.I.P. twice.
Yeah.
In 2 different ways.
He's here in spirit, at least. So let me just kind of go over the chat. We love Breath of the Wild. You know, we'll talk about it more in the future. It's great, obviously. So, yeah, Sun Gohan was saying Breath of the Wild makes him so hyped for the Pokemon Switch game. Yeah, I don't know if there will be any sort of trickling effect, but there have been rumors suggesting that the success of Breath of the Wild has an impact on the development for Pokemon. What that could mean exactly, I don't know, but this could be the biggest Pokemon game yet, and that's really exciting. Now, Tatsuki Kimishima had a question for me. Oh, Will, you're here.
Will's alive. Oh.
You made it out of the darkness. So, do you have any your own personal conclusive thoughts on this Breath of the Wild retrospective? With the
no, man, I don't want to leave. I don't want to drag you guys back to where you just
okay.
left.
It's cool. It's cool. We will revisit Zelda once again sometime, very soon.
Best game ever made or worst game ever made? One or the other.
What's taking you so long?
It did surpass, because I thought Majora's Mask was like my favorite game, but then like Breath of the Wild beat it. Like Majora's Mask is the reason my name is like Lil Will the Geek, because obviously like Fierce Deity, like I can just calling myself Lil Will the Hero of the Wild or something like that.
All right. There'll be Hero of the Wild YouTubers to be sure. Yeah, I kind of I see what you're saying, and I feel like Ocarina of Time was what sort of set the standard, and before that was Link to the Past, and then before that it was the original Zelda, and Breath of the Wild has set the standard again, and all future Zeldas will be compared to Breath of the Wild. They won't be compared to Ocarina of Time. They won't be compared to Link to the Past. They won't be compared to the original Legend of Zelda. They'll be compared to Breath of the Wild. And I think it's very telling to what they actually accomplished. Think about that. Because we were comparing Breath of the Wild to the original Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time. But now, the comparisons will always be to Breath of the Wild. So, yeah. Let me read this. Do you guys agree with that, or do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I mean, that's exactly what they said before. When the game came out, they said they wanted to make another game as game-changing as Ocarina of Time, and I was like, that's not going to happen.
And then they did it. They actually did it. Yeah. Yeah, they did it.
They always surpassed themselves. Crazy.
Yeah, they're like Goku. Always breaking his limits. But, let me read this comment from Kimishima, because I said I would address it. So he's asking, I'll just read it. Did you guys hear about Nintendo porting New Super Mario Bros. U to the Switch? Parentheses, which was reported by Emily Rogers, and parentheses. She also said Nintendo's 2018 plan was going to be focused on ports and third party. I don't know about that exactly. I feel like I would have to see the source so I can give you like a full solid answer on this. I do not believe that Nintendo's full plan is ports and third party support. That is wrong. That may very well be the first half of this year, but the second year that there's going to be something. It's not going to be nothing. It's not just going to be Fire Emblem. I refuse to believe that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyone disagree?
I'm just gonna say I don't want New Super Mario Bros. U ported to the Switch.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Please keep that abomination off of my system.
She did in fact say that. I'm looking at it right now.
I don't disagree. But it would explain why, like some of 2018 is like a huge mystery to us.
Yeah, I just feel like if they were only gonna have third-party imports, why did they front-load everything into the first year? There's Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh yeah, that
need to be in the first year.
Right.
Plenty of games they could have pushed back for the second year if they wanted more first-party games. Like, I don't understand why they would do that.
They didn't need Xenoblade to come out in December. They could have gone away with that easily.
That game even needed a little bit more work.
Yeah. There-
were some bugs
This
and
is- This is
graphical
what
issues with that game.
this is exactly word for word what she said. She said, "From my perspective, 2018 is relying more on ports of Nintendo stuff and strong third-party support. For
Oh,
whatever
the Switch
reason,
is
some took my original statement and twisted it to, 2018 is gonna suck."
Okay, so
okay. It's just
let me. I'm gonna pick that apart right now. So one, she said more of. That doesn't mean all. Okay. Secondly, even if all of her information is 100% correct, she does not know the full picture. No one knows the full picture. So like, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna doubt anything that lady says anymore because I did when the Switch was coming out and she was right 100% on it.
I mean,
I
she's
mean-
been wrong before. Like, I mean, Mother 3 still has not been
Yeah.
announced, but she's usually pretty good. Go on, Will.
I think I am gonna agree with Colloco. Just a tiny bit here because like we are seeing. I mean, I guess never mind, because Nintendo usually is pretty tight-lipped about it, so I don't want to start anything. So only time will tell, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth. Only time will tell. I don't doubt what she's saying. I just feel like what she's saying,
I definitely think they're leaning more towards third parties and ports than they were last year, but I don't think that's going to be like the.
I mean,
full-
that's what the first half of 2018 is. Like the first half of 2018 already verifies what she said. Like, but the second half of 2018, I don't think is going to be the same thing. There's no way. I don't believe that at all. I do think there's probably going to be more third-party support. I don't want to see any more straight-up Wii U ports after the ones we've already gotten for this year, maybe next year. But, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if we got another one, another port. I feel like New Super Mario Bros. U is just like, ugh.
Nobody
Like, really?
wants that.
Nobody wants that.
At
No,
the very
yeah.
least, I want 3D World.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I don't want that either.
No,
Captain
no,
Toad.
At least that game was fun.
Captain Toad I'd be okay with, I guess. I'd be okay with. Honestly, I don't think any of those games should be ported. I don't think any of those games should be ported.
Wind Waker needs to be on the Switch.
No.
I have to play that game.
And I'm a proponent for ports though. I just don't think any of those games should be ported. The only game maybe Captain Toad.
Mario does well anyway, so none of his stuff will get ported anyway.
I mean, you do have a point because 3D World is, there's 3D Land on the 3DS, so there's really no need for 3D World either, honestly.
There's no need. Yeah. That game is. No.
Everyone's audio is low except for mine. Interesting.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay, I raised it a little bit,
Grab
but
that microphone real quick. See if it's on.
for the record, on OBS, your audio is set to double mine. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Has it been like that the entire discussion?
I feel like if it was, somebody would have.
Yeah, I feel like it would've-
been here. But I don't see why I wouldn't have said something before.
Yeah, I don't really.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. If they announced Wind Waker HD tomorrow, I would literally jump out of my seat and be that excited. Wind Waker HD port, I don't care. That game needs to be on every Nintendo system. I want to play it on the
Porting
go.
Wii U games entirely at least ended with Wind Waker HD.
Huh.
Yeah. Ended with Wind Waker HD, my favorite game of all time.
So apparently it changed randomly in the middle of the discussion like 29 minutes ago. Maybe it was when you were dropping out, Will. That somehow affected it. I don't know what to do differently though. I moved the speaker from 67% to 100%.
I did notice that like the quality on my end is lowered, like video quality, about 29 minutes, about that around time.
Mine's the
Weird.
same. Mine's the same. I don't know.
Weird.
Okay, well, I mean, you guys are still audible, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to say, but I mean, this is the end of the discussion, so there's not really any point.
It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just chilling.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm like randomly editing this, like, oh yeah, we're done. Sorry, bye. but we are literally about to hit 3 hours. And I feel like we kind of answered the question. I don't think New Super Mario Brothers U is coming, but I mean, Emily Rogers has been right about so much, so you know.
I hope not. Hey, look what she said. This is really quick before we go.
Okay.
Since everyone is on the topic of Metroid Prime, I guess we're talking about it. Speculation. How would you feel if Nintendo released Metroid Prime Trilogy HD on Switch this year, then released Metroid Prime 4 in 2019? Do you think that would be a smart idea?
I'd be super happy if they do.
I mean, I would be okay with it. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I'd be
ecstatic.
I would like them to add more content, but they won't.
I don't care.
They'd be able to put them out to the bigger market of the Switch, so.
Yeah.
I feel like those games aren't very accessible anymore.
But it's just speculation. She's not saying that to leak anything.
The Metroid Prime trilogy.
But I do feel like.
No, dude, no.
I mean,
you
like,
could
it's
pick up Metroid Prime and play it.
Oh no, disgusting.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like that. It's hard to have a system. It's harder now to have a system that plays it. Is what I mean. Like I don't mean those games are bad.
Of course.
It's just harder. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. You have to go get a Wii or a GameCube.
Yeah, because even on the Wii U, man, you have to like play on the Wii side of the Wii U. You can't even play like with regular controls. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, so
kind of harder.
I would be okay with a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD if it was like a remaster. It won't be a remaster. It'll be like a Twilight Princess sort of thing.
I don't know if they add new lighting and a few new HD textures, that game would look amazing. I mean, just slapping that game into HD on Dolphin looks mind blowing.
That's probably what they'll basically do. They'll add.
Just to clarify, I don't think she's saying that as a rumor.
It's a speculation. It's speculation. Yeah. Right. No, I think there's. Yeah. I mean, I would like to see. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think that's necessarily very likely. It could happen, but you never know. Yeah, she wouldn't say it like that if it was actually like insider information. It was just pure speculation from her. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, you never know.
Right. You never really know. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming, everyone. I'm sorry about the audio issue. I wish I knew how to take care of that random thing that happened 30 minutes ago. But, yeah. Thanks again for watching, everyone. So, if you guys should definitely check out Colloco. Andy, you should check out his channel. The link is in the description below. And also, check out the channels for Lil Will the Deity and Brandon from What About the Nintendo. The links to their channels are also in the description below. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
You did good, man.
Yeah. Cool. All right, everyone.
Please subscribe to me. I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Abandon Andres.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Have a good night.
Subscribe to both.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You could.
It's the YouTuber wars.
Yeah. All right, everyone. See you next week. Or sooner, hopefully. We'll see what happens. All right. Good night.